Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Alright, we're live. And as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, today I'm going to be working on more game logic in Unreal Engine 5 using C++. That said, last night I did have a post actually telling you guys I might not actually stream today. I think I got kind of lucky, guys. Okay, that said, let's go to my gameplay screen. There we go. Okay, and guys, this is a chat live from last stream, and let me check if I'm unmuted real quick. What up, guys? Wait. There we go. Okay, open Unreal Engine by mistake. Okay, and last stream I was like actually working on summoning objects, but this stream I'm gonna like be working on that exact same thing, but maybe I'm gonna go in like a bit more detail. And guys, if I can't talk properly right now, that is because I'm not warmed up just yet. Okay, maybe let me just go ahead and increase the volume from here. There we go. Okay, now let's say something like, today I'm live, exclamation. Okay, and I did not like tell Gemini that I created a brand new project today because the last project I feel like I kind of messed it up. What up? Let me just go ahead and do that. There we go. Okay, wake up, eyes on the screen. Do you see the viewer count? They aren't here to watch you doze off, they're here to watch you conquer the compiler. If you flinch now, you're telling the world you don't have what it takes to be a master. That's the mission summoning logic revisited. Since you're back in the stream, since you're back and the stream is watching, we're going to finish what we started. Okay, wait, I forgot. Let me actually go ahead and say something like, so I think that I kind of messed up the project that I created yesterday. Okay, that said, I did create a new project today, which is completely clean. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna go with dot and then say something like, so can you help me work on the summoning logic, okay, step by step. Although, okay, before I'm not gonna do the same mistake that I did yesterday and just like blindly go into that stuff. I'm firstly gonna ask for a pseudocode. Okay, although before that, can you give me a pseudocode that is, or actually that we're going to be using for the summoning logic. There we go. Okay, that we're going to be using for the summoning logic. And guys, I cannot type right now because of my fingers are kind of frozen. Yo, bro, where are you from? Honestly, I'm like from abroad, but I can't give the actual country. That said, don't start with apologies. A clean slate is the only way to redeem yourself after yesterday's disaster. Your stream isn't here to watch you cry or slip code. They're here to watch you rebuild an empire. The secret of getting ahead is getting started, said by Mark Twain. That's the summoning pseudocode, the master plan. Okay, and in case you guys didn't know what a pseudocode is, it's basically fake code that we write, and don't worry about syntax errors and all that stuff. That's the pseudocode. So to summon a dice on a mouse click, the computer must follow these exact steps. The definition: tell the engine, I need a slot to hold a blueprint for a dice. Okay, so that's the first step. Okay, tell the engine, I need a slot to hold the click action. Okay, the initialization on start. Grab the player's input system, so I will be using enhanced inputs. Plug in the mapping context, I will be using input mapping context. Tell the computer that left click means summon. Okay, so left click means summon. The trigger, the summon function, if the player clicks the button, check is the world valid. Are we actually in a game? Check, is the dice selected? Did the user forget to plug it in? If both are yes, calculate position, player's current coordinates plus a little bit forward. Okay, so I could go ahead and use the get actor forward vector, maybe like I did yesterday, plus 300.f, which is 300 units away from my actual player. Calculate rotation, which way the player is looking, so I use the get control rotation, so I face depending on where my camera is facing. Execute, spin the actor in the world at the position. Okay. Step 1, the foundation header file. Open your new characters as header file. Do not be sloppy. You need to declare your variables in the protected section. You need the D subclass of for the dice and the U input action for the clicks. Okay, our first task, write that header code. Okay, write the header code for these two variables. So I'm gonna be needing two variables. Okay. Critical question, in pseudocode step 3, I said we need to check if the world and the blueprint are valid in C++, but the symbol or operator that we use to check if a pointer is not null before we try to use it. And guys, I will not be doing the same mistake that I did yesterday. So yesterday I did not like actually add inputs like move input and all that stuff. I just added some kind of rotation to my character. But today I am going to be adding movement enhanced inputs so I can actually walk around and completely test if my program is working. That's it. Yesterday I was rushing for some reason. Not gonna do the same mistake today. Let's go with Necro, Necromancer. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a Necromancer's character class. While it's adding it to code, I might actually eat something because I'm kind of starving. There we go, the live coding is compiling. And guys, I did like name my project to Game Logic as well today. Unlike last stream where I named it something like Necromancer. Okay, that's it. It says something like patch successful. I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna go ahead and reload all. Now I'm gonna remove the Unreal Engine's configurations. You tried WebDev. Actually, I haven't like worked with WebDev yet, but I did want to actually eventually work on that. And maybe when I actually have a series where I'm making a website type stuff. That said, let me go back to my let's say Unreal Engine here. There we go. And I'm gonna go ahead and start off by creating, let's say, a few inputs. For example, I'm gonna go ahead and create a folder that and call this something like input. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and double click my input. Inside my inputs folder. Firstly, the thing that I'm doing is giving my character movement and rotation. To do that, I'll need a few input actions for my key controls. So I could go ahead and search for something like action inputs here. Alright up guys, there we go. Let's go with something like ACTIO, and there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go with something like action input, and then I'm gonna go ahead and click this. Now I'm gonna go ahead and name my action input. Hold up guys, there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and name it something like IA move. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit something like R or like double click, maybe control. Okay, is there an option to rename because I just clicked off? There we go. I'm gonna go with something like IA underscore move, and then I'm gonna go ahead and right click and let's say add another action input. This time I'm gonna go ahead and call this something like IA underscore look. This is gonna be for my look action. So the reason I had like a move action and a look action is because I want my character to move using WASD key, and I want him to turn when he's clicking my left mouse button. And since I want him to turn around when I'm clicking my left mouse button, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say add another input action. Let's go with something like action input. Okay, this time I'm gonna call this something like IA underscore. So this is, I think that's my right mouse button, so I'm gonna go with RMB. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Lastly, I'm gonna go with something like a context, which is technically an input mapping context. This is gonna be named something like IMC underscore defaults. Okay, so technically what the input mapping context really does is like, I can go ahead and add my key checks for all the action inputs that I've created inside my content drawer here. Okay, and while I'm actually at it, I'm gonna go back to my content drawer here. Let's go to my other window, minimize my chat, copy this, and let's paste it here. These are the basic meshes and all that stuff that I made using Blender. And that said, this Tuesday I will be having like a special stream. Since I will be having like much more space this Tuesday, I might actually either have a Blender stream or like a workout stream. Gotta like check that out. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go here. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and click my mapping profile overrides. Then I'm gonna click plus for mapping. Now I'm gonna go ahead and select one of the three action inputs I've created. I'm gonna go with IA underscore move first, where I have one input action check here, which I'm gonna go ahead and make set it to be W. Now when I press W, I wanna go forward in the y-axis. So if I wanna actually work with the y-axis, I gotta add a modifier. The modifier is gonna be the Swiss input axis value. There we go. And that's about it for W. Swiss input axis value gives me access to move in the y-axis. That's it. I'm going to go with a plus now. The second is going to be S. Now, when I click S in my keyboard, I want to move backwards in the y-axis. So, firstly, I am going to be needing a modifier called my Swiss input axis value. But I'm going to be moving forwards because there's nothing to like actually convert my value to negative here. So, I'm going to be adding a second modifier called something like negate. So I move in the negative x-axis, actually negative y-axis, and the W is for positive y-axis. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to click the plus button again. This time I'm going to click A. When I click A, I want to move towards the right. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a modifier of negate here. That's actually about it because until unless I don't like specify that I wanna like actually move to the y-axis by adding the Swiss input axis modifier. By default, I do move in the x-axis. And lastly, I'm gonna go with something like D, which will not be needing any modifiers because I'm gonna be moving towards the left in the x-axis. That said, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna click the mapping up here again. And then let's say I'm gonna go with something like IA underscore look, which is technically my look action. Now, for my look action, I wanna look towards the left or towards the right, depending on where my mouse moves in the x-axis. Alright guys, let's go ahead and just look for it. I'm gonna go with something like mouse moves in the x-axis, and I'm gonna add another plus. I want to go ahead and look in the y-axis, which is basically up and down depending on where my mouse moves in the y-axis. Okay, and that's pretty much it for my IA look. Once actually since there is y-axis here, there's one thing that I keep forgetting and messing up. Every time a y-axis is being used, I'm gonna be adding a Swiss input axis modifier here. There we go. Okay, and that's about it now. Then I'm gonna go ahead and click my plus button again. This time I'm gonna go ahead and click my or select my IA underscore RMB. That's basically my input actions is right mouse button, if that makes any sense. Okay, and I'm just gonna go ahead and set this to be something like my right mouse button. Okay, now that's about it. Now once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go to my input. I'm gonna double click my look action. And from digital boolean, I'm going to change it to like a 2D axis because like when I move, I'm going to be moving either in the x-axis or the y-axis. So I set it to be a 2D axis. In the other hand, if I wanted to like fly around, I would change this to like 3D because z-axis will come into the equation, if that makes any sense, guys. That's it. Now once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and click my IA underscore move. I want to go ahead and switch this to a 2D vector as well because technically I'm going to be moving in a two-dimensional space. Okay, and that's about it. My IA underscore RMB is going to be digital boolean because this just checks if I clicked a button, so it's either true or false. Okay, now that's about it. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to go back to my Unreal Engine here. Actually, I'm going to go back to my Visual Studio. In my Visual Studio says header files. I'm going to go ahead and let's say define a few classes. Okay, actually, when I said define a few classes, I meant declare a few classes. These are going to be empty classes. Now, the reason I do this is because header files does not need to like have a lot of let's say files into it. It just gotta like have empty classes or just empty declarations telling that these things really exist. Then later in the C++, I kind of define them, if that makes any sense. So firstly, I might need something like a use spring arm component. What up guys, let's go with something like spring arm component. Basically what the spring arm component is it's basically a selfie stick or my camera boom. That's it. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and create another class called something like camera components because I will be needing a camera because without a camera my player practically won't be able to see anything. Then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. And then now once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and create another class. What could my third class be? Did I spell components correct? Camera, component. There we go. Okay, so what could the third class be? Can we do DSA problem in CSS? Actually, I haven't like started CSS yet, but I might actually start soon. Okay, that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and create another class for, let's say, since I am gonna be using input actions, I'm gonna go with something like input action. Let's go with something like maybe input action. I'm gonna go with something like my Unreal's input action ending with a semicolon. Bro, study well and become a game dev at Activision so you can get paid without fixing or developing anything. Honestly, wouldn't that be kind of boring? But that does sound kind of cool because I like to write programs here. That's the next up. Since I am going to be using mapping context as well, I'm going to go with something like input mapping context. Okay, and now that's pretty much it. Okay, there's like one more. I'm going to go with something like a structure. Let's go with something like a struct, which is going to be which is going to be a f input action value as a structure. There we go. Let's go with something like input action value. Okay, perfect. And then I just go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now that I've declared these empty classes, I'm gonna use them in my logic here, but they won't be containing anything. The thing that's really going to be containing stuff is my C++ file where I'm going to be defining everything I declared here, if that made any sense. Okay, that's it. Now, under my begin play, I'm going to go ahead and do something. Firstly, let's say I want to go ahead and add my camera boom. So I'm going to go with something like camera boom. Hold up, guys. Give me a sec. Let me just actually mute myself real quick. I think there's some background noise. Already mic testing, mic testing. Alright, guys, thought there was some background noises. That said, I'm gonna go with camera boom. Now, for my camera boom, I'm gonna go ahead and add a U property. Let's go with something like U property, where I want my camera boom to be visible anywhere. I'm gonna go with something like visible. There we go. Okay, and then I want my camera boom to be blueprint read only. I only want my blueprint to be able to read my camera boom, which is technically my spring arm component. Okay, and then lastly, I want my camera boom's category to be something like, let's say camera. Okay, because my spring arm component and my actual camera component is going to be categorized under a cameras section. This is not actually compulsory to like categorize it, but I think that it makes it a bit more readable. Okay, that's it. Now, once I'm done with the U property, I'm gonna go ahead and use the class that I created here, which is basically my U spring arm components class. And I'm gonna go ahead and let's say represented by a pointer called something like camera boom. There we go. Okay, perfect. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add that with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and add another comment called something like follow camera, where I'm gonna be adding a U property in which my follow camera is gonna be visible anywhere. I'm gonna be able to see my follow camera everywhere, whether it be inside my blueprints or my Unreal Engine's editor. Okay, visible. Guys, I cannot type fast right now. My fingers are frozen. Let's go with anywhere. There we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna go with something like blueprint read only. I only want my blueprint to be able to read my follow camera, my camera component, not really edited. And then lastly, my category is going to be equal to, let's say, something like camera. Okay, now that's about it. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and copy my second class that I created here, which is my UCamera component, and I'm gonna go ahead and paste it here, and then make it and then my camera component is going to be represented by a pointer called something like follow camera. There we go. Ending with a semicolon. Okay, now once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and add another comment called something like default mapping. This is where I'm gonna actually be working with my real enhanced inputs. For example, I'm gonna create a pointer which represents my input mapping context and a bunch of pointers that represent my U input action. Depending on what action am I taking, it could be either my move action, look action, or clicking my right mouse button action. That said, for my default mapping, I'm gonna go ahead and create a U property. Let's go with something like U property, EROPERTY. There we go. Where I want my default mapping this time, I want to be able to edit it anywhere. The reason I want to edit it anywhere is because I'm going to be adding a tiny change in my... Actually, the reason is because I did actually add changes in my default mapping, like inside my Unreal Engine, like right here. So I was able to edit it here. Although that's not the edit that I'm talking about. The second edit that I'm actually talking about is later on, once I actually import or like drag my class inside of my editor here, and I type input in my details panel, I'm gonna have to kind of, I will be having a inputs section where I gotta go ahead and set my default mapping to my IMC_default. It's kind of hard to explain, guys. I'll just show you guys in a bit. Okay, and then next up, I want my default mapping to be something like blueprint read only. And lastly, I want my category, let's go with something like my category, to be equal to something like input. And this is the category that I was talking about when I typed input in my details panel. This is where it's created. Okay, once I'm done with that, I'm going to scroll all the way up here, copy my U input mapping context, scroll all the way down, and then I'm going to go ahead and paste it here. Now, my U input mapping context is going to be represented by a pointer called something like default mapping. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm going to now work on creating these several pointers which represents my U input action depending on what action I'm currently doing. For example, I could firstly go with something like a move action for my IA move that I created in my Unreal Engine. I can go with something like a U property. Okay, where I want my move action to be edit anywhere. I want to be able to edit my move action anywhere. I want my move action to be blueprint read only. Let's go with something like blueprint read only. And lastly, I want my category to be something like inputs. There we go. And then I'm gonna go ahead and copy my uInputActions, this empty class that I declared up there, paste it here, and represent it through a variable called something like moveAction. This function, actually this uProperty is in charge of my player moving. Next up, I'm gonna add another comment called something like lookAction, because I have a lookAction as well, which is in charge of checking if I'm turning around. There, I'm gonna be let's go with something like uProperty. Okay, and then I want my lookAction to be edit anywhere. I want to be able to edit it anywhere. I want my lookAction to be blueprint read only. I only want my blueprint to be able to read it. And lastly, I want my category, okay, to be equal to something like input. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and paste my uInputAction, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like lookAction, ending with a semicolon. And then once I'm done with that as well, I'm going to go with my final input action that I created, which is technically my RMB action. Now, I'm going to create a uProperty for my RMB action as well. There we go. My RMB action is going to be something like edit anywhere. I want to be able to edit my RMB action anywhere. I want my RMB action to be something like blueprint read only. Okay, and then lastly, I want my category. I want my RMB action to be categorized. Alright guys, there we go. Let's go with category to be equal to something like input. And now that's about it. I'm just going to go ahead and represent my uInputAction by something like RMB action. Okay, perfect. These are basic. This is like basically it for all the input action and mapping context here. The reason I really created those is because I had in total like 4 input, actually 3 input action and 1 input mapping context. So I had to go ahead and categorize these things inside of my editor as well. Alright guys, give me a second. Let me mute myself real quick. I think there's a lot of background noises. Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Now let's go out of it down here. Okay, so next up, once I'm done with all this, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next part. So once I'm done creating my input actions, I'm gonna be creating functions. These are gonna be, let's say something like functions, where I'm gonna go ahead and use these functions. Actually, I'm just declaring empty functions here. I'm gonna define them inside my Necromancer's C++ file. If that makes sense, guys. Actually going to check where the noises came did kind of ruin my rhythm. That's it. Next up, I'm gonna go with something like, let's say a white function. This is going to be in charge for my move function. I'm going to go with something like move. Now, my move function is going to be requiring a constant parameter of, let's say, something like f input action value. There we go. Which is going to require the memory address of a value. So technically, the reason I did like add my f input action value here is because firstly, I did like create f input action value here, and whenever I move my player around, it actually either gives me either a positive value or a negative value. Positive value means I'm moving forward. Negative value means I'm moving backwards. So without this check, I wouldn't be actually getting a value. So I won't know where to actually move type stuff, or like how many, let's say centimeters per square do I want to move. That's it. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to go with something like a look function as well. Here, my look function is going to require the exact same parameter, the constant f input action value that requires a memory address of my values as parameter, ending with a semicolon. Because when I want to look or turn around as well, I will require like a scale value, which is either positive or negative. Do I want to look towards the left, positive, towards the right, negative. That's it. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go with another white function. This time my function is, let's say, going to be for, I'm going to go with something like RMB underscore. Okay, I might actually set that for like Boolean check. Alright guys, you guys might be thinking what the Boolean check is for. Because the only time I want to turn it around is when I'm clicking my right mouse button. Because without that, I would just turn it around as soon as I'm in the game or I move my mouse at all. So I'm going to add a comment that says something like Boolean check. Let's go with something like Boolean check. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a Boolean check. I'm going to see if, I'm going to check if is RMB pressed, if my RMB is being pressed. Initially, when I start the game, I don't want my right mouse button to be pressed, so I'm going to set that to be false. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and add another comment here. Maybe add like one more space just so it looks a bit good. There we go. This is going to be boolean or maybe boolean function checks. I don't really know how to phrase this correctly. Let's go with boolean function checks. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's say create a void function here called something like rmb underscore pressed. Alright guys, let's go with something like underscore pressed with a prof parentheses ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to create another function. It's going to be my rmb underscore released with a prof parentheses ending with a semicolon. I have one function to check if my right mouse button has been pressed and one to check if it's been released. Now here's the thing guys, should I create jump action? Like I wouldn't need any kind of special input because like character class already gives me jump action. I might do that later on honestly. Okay, now that I'm done creating or declaring a bunch of things inside my header files, I'm going to work on defining them in my C++. What you're building, actually if you guys are like familiar with like, let's say different game classes, for example, Necromancer class, they're in charge of summoning objects. So I'm trying to like summon different objects in my Unreal Engine. I tried it last stream, but I failed miserably, guys. But this stream, I feel kind of confident. Although last stream, I did like do the mistake of being a bit lazy, so I did not really add movement for my flare, so I just had to predict if something was summoned. Today, I'm working on adding movement first. So, okay, now, when I'm in my C++ file, this is where the thing that I was telling you guys before about me declaring empty classes and structures here. These classes and structures does not hold any kind of value. Although the way I can actually get them to hold value is by including the headers for those classes. For example, I can go ahead and let's say include something from my game framework. I'm going to go with something like game framework. So from my game framework, I want to go ahead and let's say include my spring arm component. There we go. Let's go with spring arm component .h, which is my spring arm components as header files. And then that's pretty much it. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and include something from my camera. Alright guys, let's go with something like camera. From my camera, I want to go ahead and include my camera component.h, which is basically my camera components as header files. These two header files are in charge of giving value to the two of these empty classes that I declared in my header files. Now, I'm going to go inside my constructor. Inside my constructor, let's say I'm going to go ahead and not add a comment. Although, what is something that I might do in my constructor? Okay, I might want to basically be using constructor to like literally construct stuff inside of my Unreal Engine here. I might need two things to construct here. One could be, let's say, my camera boom, which is my spring arm component. Second could be my follow camera, which is my camera component. To do that, I'm going to go with something like, let's say, camera boom. Okay, this is the pointer that I created in my header files. I'm going to set that equal to. And then let's say eat something because I'm kind of starving. What up, guys? There we go. I'm going to go ahead and create a default sub object, which is going to be having, let's say, a pair of ankle braces. This is technically a template. Now, inside my pair of ankle braces, I'm going to go ahead and require my spring arm component because that is what my camera boom is. And now here's the thing. Even without my headers here, I could have added this because I already declared those classes in my header files, but they would not have any value to them. So by actually adding my header file here, my class, my empty class that I declared in my header file actually has some value now. So this is going to be having all my spring arm components values. Then I'm going to add a text. What do I want to call it in my details or in my Unreal Engine? I want to call it camera boom. Okay, now that's right about it. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. And then I'm going to go ahead and let's say point my camera boom towards, let's say, a setup attachment. There we go. Let's go with something like a setup attachment. Okay, now what do I want to add in my setup attachments parameter? I will be needing like a root component. Basically what a root component is like with my root component, I can actually see my camera boom, which is my spring arm component, either move, turn, or rotate. Without it, I would not be able to see that stuff. Once I'm done with that as well, I'm going to go with something like camera boom that points towards, let's say something like a target arm length. And again, in case you guys don't know what a target arm length is, you guys could like think of camera boom as a selfie stick, or if you guys do really know what a camera boom is, if you guys have some kind of film industry knowledge, I basically want my actual camera boom to be 300 centimeters away from my character. That's basically what it means. And then lastly, I'm going to go with something like camera boom and point it towards a Boolean variable check called something like use pawn control rotation, okay, which is going to be equal to, let's say, something like true, ending with a semicolon, because I want to be able to move through, I want to be able to turn using my there you go, I want to be able to rotate using my spring arm component. Okay, perfect. Did I spell this wrong? TRUE, there we go. Okay, now once I'm done with this, this is going to actually construct a spring arm component inside my Unreal Engine, but I also want to construct a follow camera, which is my camera component. Okay, so I'm going to set follow camera equal to, I'm going to create a default sub object. Let's go with something like a sub object with a pair of ankle braces. Now, inside my default sub object, I'm going to be requiring my view camera component. And again, this is an empty class that I just declared in my header files. The thing that really gave it value was me actually including the camera components as header files. Then I'm going to go with a pair of parentheses, add a text here, and call it something like follow camera. There we go. Okay, and I think that's about it. I'm gonna end that with a semicolon. Now, for a few arrow mark checks, I'm gonna go with something like my follow camera, which is my camera component. I'm gonna point it towards a setup attachment. And now here's the thing. If we think about root component, it does remind us of, let's say, a root. For example, a plant has a root, it's stuck to something. In this case, my camera boom is stuck to my actual Unreal Engine up here, or my world. My Unreal Engine is world, but my follow camera, I want my camera component to be stuck to my camera boom. So instead of going with a root component here, I'm gonna go with something like a camera boom. And then I'm gonna end it with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that as well, I'm gonna go with something like follow camera. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and point it towards, I will not be pointing it towards a target arm length, because technically if my actual camera is stuck to my spring arm component, I wouldn't want my camera to be away from my player because my spring arm, it's stuck to my spring arm component. My spring arm component is already 300 centimeters away, so my camera is technically going to be 300 centimeters away as well. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and go to the Boolean check of use pawn control rotation, which is going to be equal to false here, ending with a semicolon. The reason it's false is because I want to move, turn, and rotate using my actual spring arm component, so there is no reason to actually add that for my camera here. Okay, now once I'm done with that as well, I'm going to Control S to save the code. And then, now moving on to the second part, since I want to use enhanced inputs and like move my player around using key controls, I'm going to go ahead and include, let's say, a few more header files. For example, I might need a header file called something like enhanced, did I spell enhanced correct? ENHANCED, enhanced input component. .h, which is my enhanced input components, is header files, and then I'm gonna go ahead and include, let's say, something like ENHANCED, enhanced input subsystem, is header files as well. Okay, these are, I think, the two things that I might need for now. ENHANCED input COMPONENT. Did I mess a spelling up here by any chance? INCLU. Okay, guys, it was just my Unreal editor kind of glitching. Okay, damn, poll is crazy. Guys, let me actually check the polls. Are you guys enjoying the stream? 53% said no. Guys, no is actually kind of crazy. Like, I'm giving peak content out here. That's it. I like the horizontal stream. It's like 100% did say yes. Okay, that's it. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and, let's say, include. I'm gonna include something like, let's say a input action of value .h, which is my input action values header files. The reason I needed my input action values this header files is because, again, I declared an empty structure here that I did use as a parameter inside my move and look function. They're empty, there's nothing inside them. But since I included this header here, whenever I'm actually adding content for either my move or look function, the parameter inside them of my input action value is going to be having some kind of value to it. Speaking of which, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go all the way down here to my begin play. When my game begins, I want to go ahead and, let's say, get my local players as subsystems. I don't know how to phrase this part. Although, firstly, I want to go ahead and get my players as controllers. So, I'm gonna go with something like a player controller, okay, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like PC. That is going to be equal to I'm gonna go with a cast, and the reason we really use a cast is to check if my player's controller that I'm getting is actually the one that I'm looking for and not like some other player controller. So I'm gonna go with something like a cast. Inside my cast, I'm gonna be requiring a parameter of my a player controller with a pair of parentheses of, let's say, something like controller. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna add in a statement to check if my player controller is not equal to null PDR. If my player controller did not return null, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I'm gonna add a pair of curly braces, and let's say I'm gonna go ahead and I don't know, maybe eat some oats real quick. What up, guys? Okay, so moving apartments. Honestly, I'm actually kind of I was kind of shocked that whatchamacallit, I could actually stream today because I thought I would not be able to stream today, but that was kind of lucky, guys. Now, if I might not be able to stream tomorrow if I didn't like stream very early, like really early, because I do gotta like pack my streaming setup up as well. That's it, you guys won't be seeing the red background here much anymore. Okay, so inside my if statement where I check if my player control is not equal to null PDR, I'm gonna go with another if statement that checks something like if my U enhanced ENHANCED, if my U enhanced input local player subsystem, if my U enhanced input local player subsystem, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like subsystem, is, let's say, equal to, I'm gonna go with something like the U local player. Okay, the U local player, I'm assuming it's a Unreal Engine class here. I'm going to use the scope resolution operator to get my subsystem. Okay, then I'm going to add a pair of ankle braces because get subsystem, I'm assuming, is a template. And then I'm going to copy my UNANS local player subsystem, paste it inside this template here, go with a pair of parentheses, and then I'm going to go with something like my player controller points towards the get control rotation. Okay, now that's like right about it. If I fix my typo here, there we go. Get control rotations is function. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna add a pair of curly braces. Did I have a typo somewhere here? Okay, no, take the bedsheet too, bro. It's iconic. Honestly, is it? I might really, honestly, because I feel like the red curtain has been here like for, I think, like more than 100 days now. That's it. Let's see. So U and local player subsystem, which points towards. Okay, so U local player. Why is there a red underline here? No instance of overloaded function U local player matches the argument list of f rotator. Okay, I mean, I'm positive this is correct. I think I might actually excuse me, guys. I think it's my Unreal Engine or my editor here. Okay, so I get my subsystem. Maybe I'm gonna go ahead and delete that and go with into lessons. Let's go with something like get subsystem. So I'm gonna go with something like get sub. Oops, there we go. There we go, get subsystem. I mean, later I might check the error that I get because I'm positive this is correct. Instead, I think I should go with something like controller. There we go, controller get control rotation. Okay, this might be it. Okay, so what happens when you run the code? I have no clue about game dev. Honestly, when I run the code from here, the code actually executes inside my Unreal Engine here, where I did create a few input actions for moving myself. I created a few classes. Actually, I just created one class for the time being because I just started streaming like 30 minutes ago. It's a Necromancer's this class. That said, controller, get control rotation. So I might check something like if my controller is not equal to null PDR. Okay, U local player. Okay, what is something that I'm missing here? So I have my subsystems pointer here, and then U local player get subsystem. Each player that is active on the current client /listen server has local player. I see. It stays active across maps, and there may be several spawned. In the case of split screen /cube, there will be 0 spawn on dedicated servers. Oh, I see. It's 8 bytes, which is, I'm assuming, like 8 bits is 1 byte, so 8 times 64 bits. Okay, how do you, Yasha? Appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's let's see. No instance overloaded function of U local player get subsystem matches the argument type f rotator. So from my player, I get my player as a subsystem. From the character that has been spawned inside of my server, I get the get subsystem. I still think this is correct. There's like nothing wrong here. Okay, I'm just gonna go with something like PC. There we go. Okay, let's just get this here. I guess I'm going to be working with the content down here and then later check if something like clicks and actually realize where I messed up here. So I'm gonna go with something like my subsystems is pointer. Okay, which let's say points towards. I'm gonna go ahead and point towards let's say add mapping context. I want to go ahead and add a mapping context, which in this case it's gonna be my default mapping that I created in my header files. There we go. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Actually, I do need a priority of 0 as well, because there might be different kinds of movement. For example, maybe writing a object or like writing another class type stuff. So all those different kinds of movements. Okay, but the default movement is gonna be me walking around. Okay, what if I go with something like local player? Okay, I need to go with like Unreal's local player. U local player, get subsystem. Okay, U enhanced input local player subsystem, which is going to be represented by pointer. That is going to be equal to U local player get subsystem system U enhance input local player subsystem player controller get control rotation. It's correct. Okay, I might try to like hit Control S to save the code. I'm gonna run my code real quick because I want to see the error that I get, and then I'm gonna try debugging it. Okay, that said, did you do those 3D models you made come into USE here? Do those 3D models you made come into, I'm assuming that's Unreal Engine 5. And I think, yeah, so like I create 3D models in Blender, then I go ahead and just import them inside of my Unreal Engine. For example, if I were to go to my Blender's QLB files, let's go with something like maybe my environmental assets. I don't know, I might go with something like health bar. Okay, NPC. This is what I mostly use, my common NPC. I do have like a dragon NPC, Lisa, Niji Huang, and like those are basically all the NPCs. This is my static mesh of the thing that I created in my Blender. That said, everything is correct here. What am I missing? The thing that I might be missing could be a header file up here. So enhance input component.h, enhance input subsystems.h. What else do I need? I included my camera component, I included my spring arm component. Those are irrelevant for my movement here. Although the thing that I might be needing is, let's see, so I have a move action, I have a look action, I have default mapping. Something that I might need. So you spring arm component, camera component, input action. Okay, my bad guys, I forgot I was going to debug. So I'm going to go ahead and try rebuilding my solution. Okay, let's wait for it to rebuild. While it rebuilds, I might actually eat something real quick. What up, guys? Okay, because it's honestly pretty strange. Like, I've never gotten this error. Positive, I'm not missing any kind of parentheses, am I? I need 1. I need 2. I need 3. I have 3. 52 succeeded, 0 failed. Guys, if there is 0 failed, then what actually... There's no error. Why do I see the red underline? I hope it's just my Unreal Engine. Okay, so it says result failed. Okay, it says... Let's see the error name. Project. Maybe I want to go ahead and try compiling this in my Unreal Engine. But now, when I actually compile this in my Unreal Engine, there's something cool that's gonna happen. You guys will like see a camera spawn in here. I mean, it like really won't until I don't drag my class inside with it still. Okay, let's go ahead and live compile this real quick. Why does it say like UBA session server? It said this last stream as well. This makes it take so long to really compile. It's probably, it says that I need to check if my DLL file is inside of my folder here. Gonna have to check that. Okay, that's it. While this is compiling, I'm gonna work on the rest of the code. So let's say for example, once I'm done with this part, I'm gonna go all the way down here. And I'm gonna go ahead and define the move function that I've declared inside of my header files. So I'm gonna go with something like a void function or a void function for my move. In this case, it's gonna be from my necromancer's class. Okay, I'm going to use the scope resolution operator to get a hold of, let's say, my move function. I'm going to go with something like move. There we go, guys. My program just compiled. Okay, it said compilation error. Okay, so it says get subsystem. There is something wrong here. Okay, does it say what kind of error is it? It says Unreal. How long did it take firstly? Pretty sure it took really long. 52 seconds to compile is actually kind of crazy, guys. Okay, T subclass U local player. Okay, cannot convert from F rotator to U local player. Excuse me, guys. So let's see. U local player get subsystem enhance input player subsystem. It says line 39 of my Necromancer is a C++ file. And line 18, let's see. There we go. So it says it can't convert this stuff. Maybe because I might not really need my if statement, but this is like a check. I check if my player controller is not equal to null PDR. If it isn't, then I go ahead and do this. Okay, so it cannot be converted to F rotator. So from my controller, I want to get... Wait, hold up, guys. My bad, I'm gonna go with get local player. I didn't know why was I really going with controller. That was kind of stupid, to be honest. Okay, so controller, it's like get local player. Oops, let's go with this thing. Okay, there we go. Get... I spelled local wrong. Okay, let's go with something like get local player. And now that's about it. This is going to be my player controller. Get local player. Okay, perfect. That's about it. Now I'm going to move on to my C++. Actually, my move function that requires a constant parameter of a F input action value. There we go. Okay, which requires the memory address of a values parameter. And then I'm going to go with the pair of curly braces. And now, for actually moving my player, there are a few things that I will be needing. For example, my player is going to be requiring a scale value in order to move. So I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like scale value. Okay, now for my scale value, let's say I'm going to go ahead and... what do I want to do for my scale value? Since I'm using a 2D vector, two-dimensional vector, I'm going to go with something like f vector 2D. Which is going to be represented by a local variable called something like, let's say, movement vector. Okay, now my movement vector is, let's say, going to go ahead and be equal to my values parameter. Now again, the values parameter here is when I click a button and I'm about to move. My Unreal Engine is going to tell me whether or not my value is positive or negative depending on if my modifier has negate in it. So I'm going to go with something like value.get. I'm going to go ahead and get my value. Was it positive or negative? Then I'm going to add a pair of ankle braces and store my value inside of my f vector 2D. Okay, inside my two-dimensional vector. Then I'm going to go with the pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. Okay, now that's pretty much it. Once I'm done with my scale value, I'm going to go ahead and get my rotation. I'm going to get my camera rotation. Now basically what the camera rotation is like I'm gonna be facing depending on where my camera is seeing, if that made any sense. Before I really do that, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say add a if statement. So let's go up here. There we go. I'm gonna add a if statement here to check if my player controller is not equal to null PDR. If my player controller is not null, then I'm going to go ahead and do something. Definitely not add these many pair of curly braces. Although I did not get my player controller yet, so let's do that real quick. I'm going to go with something like... Copy this. Guys, this is just to save time. I don't want to like spend so much time just adding basic movement input. There we go. Okay, perfect. And then once I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and let's say... add a comment here that says get rotation. So I'm gonna get my rotation. Okay, now to get my rotation, let's say I'm gonna go ahead and create a f rotator, which is going to be represented by a local variable called something like rotation that is going to be equal to, I'm gonna go with something like my controller, controller, which points towards the get control rotations as function. Get control rotation. There we go, with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. Now here's the thing, honestly, I'm gonna change this to be something like controller. If my controller is not null PDR, I wouldn't need my player controller, even though I think that they're almost the same thing, to be honest, right? Okay, let me just go ahead and eat something real quick because I'm kind of starving. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and create another f rotator, but this time I'm going to be represented by a local function. My function is going to be called, let's say something like, it's going to be requiring 3 parameters. First is going to be 0, second is going to be rotation, the third is going to be 0 as well. Basically what this does is it like flattens out my 3D vector to be a 2D vector. What up guys, why do I get this red? Why do I keep getting red underlines? No instance of constructor UE math T rotator, blah blah blah. Okay, this is going to be rotation.yaw. There we go. Okay, because the error that I was getting, it was like it didn't know exactly from what direction I got flattened out. For all we know, I could have flattened out from the y-axis. That said, now once I'm done with this as well, I'm let's say going to stay inside my if statement and add, let's say, another comment that says world direction. Okay, now basically what a world direction is, in order for a player to actually move, we need 2 parameters. We need a scale value and a world direction, where my scale value is, am I moving positive centimeters or negative units? My world direction is going to be which way is my player facing. Based on that way, I'm going to go ahead and get my scale value and move the player in that certain units. So for my scale value, I'm going to go with something like f vector. Now here, I did not go with f vector 2D because my world direction is going to be 3-dimensional. So if it's not f vector 2D, it's technically considered 3D. Okay, hi Wick, how's everything going? Hi Demon King, I appreciate you joining the stream. Which type of game are you making? Honestly, I'm working on a basic game logic to just summon players. So for the time being, this is, you could consider like a necromancer game type stuff. Necromancy is basically the art of raising dead, raising the dead and making them undead. If that makes any sense. Have you guys like watched the anime called Overlord? I think there are like 5 seasons for that. It's like the main character that can like raise people from the dead, and even like solo leveling, these Sunjinu, the MC, can actually raise the dead to be his soldiers, shadow soldiers. That's it. Now for my world direction, I'm firstly gonna go with something like forward, FORWARD direction. Okay, which is gonna be, let's say, equal to, I'm gonna go with something like my rotation. This is going to be the local variable that I created, dot the matrix. So rotation dot matrix. Okay, or is it something like get matrix? I'm going to go with until essence MAT. All right, X matrix. Okay, I might go with something like I want to get my matrix. I'm going to go with rotation dot get matrix's function. Is something wrong here? Okay, so I gotta go ahead and get my rotation matrix. What if I just go with something like initial essence first? I'm gonna go with get rotation matrix. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get my rotation matrix. Okay, maybe I go with something like f rotation matrix. Okay, this makes more sense. There we go. So my f rotation matrix is going to be having a parameter of firstly, let's say something like my rotation. Let's go with something like my yaw rotation. Okay, and then I'm going to go with something like the dot get unit axis. I'm going to go ahead and get my unit axis. Get unit axis. There we go. With a pair of parentheses, which requires a parameter of an e-axis with a scope resolution operator. My e-axis is going to be my x-axis, ending with a semicolon. Okay, is it like that Overlord manga? Honestly, I didn't like actually read the Overlord manga because I'm more of an like anime guy, but I do like sometimes enjoy mangas. That's it. Are you an anime fan? Wow, I love coding, anime, and football. That actually sounds kind of cool. Except like soccer, except like football, I do like whatchamacallit, like animes and like coding type stuff. Guys, that's actually kind of cool. Okay, are you so what software are you writing the game? Honestly, I am like using Visual Studio to write my program, but I use Unreal Engine to actually compile my program. That's next. I'm gonna go with something like f vector. Let's go with something like f vector. So there we go. Okay, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like right direction. Let's go with something like direction. Okay, that is going to be equal to, again, my f rotation matrix. Okay, which requires a parameter of my yaw rotation. And again, my yaw rotation is in charge of me rotating in the x-axis. Pitch rotation, on the other hand, is for me and is in charge of me rotating in the y-axis, if that makes any sense. Then I'm going to go ahead and get my unit axis. Okay, with a pair of parentheses, I'm going to go with something like an e-axis y-axis. Okay, then I end this with a semicolon. And now that's about it for my world direction as well. Once I'm done with world direction, I'm going to add another comment. This time my comment is going to be, let's say, movement input. So I'm going to go ahead and add my movement input. I might go with something like add movement input. So now you guys will, okay, now you guys are going to see why I needed a scale value and a world direction for my movement input. Because I'm going to go ahead and firstly use the add movement inputs function. Now here's the thing, my movement inputs function requires two parameters, world direction and scale value. These are the two most important things I would need to actually move my player. Where in this case, my world direction, right? My world direction is going to be my forward. Let's go with FORWARD. My forward direction, okay, dot the y-axis, because I move forward or backwards in the y-axis. Y-axis is in charge of me moving me towards the front or back. Wait, this is going to be forward direction. Then I'm going to go with something like movement vector dot y. Okay, then I end this with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and add another movement input. Let's go with something like add movement input. There, I'm going to go ahead and require world direction again. This time, I'm going to go with my right vector. Actually, my right direction. There we go. Okay, now the right direction is in charge of moving me either towards the left or right, which is the x-axis. So I'm going to go with something like my movement vector, which is my scale value. What up, guys? There we go. Let's go with movement vector, which is my scale value. Okay, dot the x. And then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. And that's like right about it for my move function. It was pretty easy, honestly. Once I'm done with my move function, I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like look function. Because I do have a look function as well. And maybe I just go ahead and name this something like move function. Okay, and now before I really go with my look function, this is going to be where I add my player rotating depending on where my mouse is moving, either the x-axis or y-axis. I'm going to go ahead and add another function here at the very top called something like RMB function, which is my right mouse button function. RMB functions. Okay, where I'm firstly gonna, let's say, have a void function. I'm gonna go ahead and set this to something like from my a necromancer's class. Okay, I'm gonna go at necromancer. There we go. I'm gonna use this scope resolution. Okay, there we go. I was like, did I spell it wrong again? Okay, so from my I'm gonna use the scope resolution operator to get access of my RMB underscore press function. There we go. Now, my RMB underscore press function will not be requiring any parameters, although I'm going to go with the pair of curly braces. Inside my pair of curly braces, when my right mouse button is being pressed, I want to set my boolean of is RMB pressed variable to be true. Yes, my right mouse button is being pressed right now. Why is there a red underline? I think that's just my editor. Okay, now here's the thing. This is not like important now, the stuff that I'm going to be doing right now, but it's like while my right mouse button is being pressed, while my player is moving around, I do not want to see my mouse cursor. To do that, I gotta get my player's controller first. So I'm gonna go with something like a player controller, which is going to be represented by a pointer called PC. That is going to be equal to cast. I'm gonna go with something like a player controller. There we go. Let's close the cast here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get my controller. And then close my pair of parentheses. Now that I've gotten my player controller, I'm going to go ahead and let's say add a if statement here to check if my player controller is not equal to null PDR. If my player controller is not null, then I'm going to go ahead and do something. Firstly, I want to go ahead and let's say, okay, I want to firstly point my player controller towards, I'm going to go with something like the get mouse cursor. Actually, I'm going to point it towards the show mouse cursor. Okay, my show mouse cursor. is going to be equal to false, ending with a semicolon. While my player is moving, I do not want to show my mouse cursor, M-O-U-S-E. There we go. Show mouse cursor. What if I go with into lessons? Okay, there's a show mouse cursor as function. Nope, it's just going to be player controller, which points towards show mouse cursor. Okay, I did use my cast, so PC show mouse MOUSE cursor is going to be false. A player controller has no member of show mouse cursor. What if I go with something like controller? Show mouse cursor, nope, it should be player controller. Howdy Neymar, appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, wow, what is the name of the game and how did you learn how to write code like this? Honestly, I did like learn using like AI. For example, I've been like using Gemini mostly for Unreal Engine these days because ChatGPT does have a picture limit, but I feel like once you understand the basic concepts, it gets kind of easy to write the code. That's it, because I feel like writing the code is the easier part. Solving problems is the harder part. For example, like trying to figure out the algorithm and all that stuff. That's what actually that's what's really hard to like design the program, which I clearly did not here, so that's kind of bad. Okay, so I'm going to go with player controller that points towards show mouse cursor, which is going to be false. Everything is correct here. The thing that I could see myself messing up here could be if I were to copy this. Let's go ahead and delete this part. I might really add this part here, so I'm gonna go ahead and paste this here. There. This is the only thing that I see myself messing up with. So if my player controller is checked, then my player controller points towards show mouse cursor, which is set to false. Okay, show mouse cursor. If my player controller is equal to cast a player controller, then I want to show my mouse cursor. What's your favorite build? Melee, mage, summoner, or range based on weapon shooter? Okay, I actually like a mage, but I'm trying to grow fond of like necromancers, guys. Like I want to summon the dead type stuff, although that's not in like most games. So I like ranged and melee too. It depends. If a game is like if it requires FPS, for example, back in the days, like I think like 5 or 6 years ago, if you guys check my first ever video, or not first, like third or fourth ever video, I used to like play Blockman Go. There I used to like prefer melee because I used to like go on player versus player PvP, or like just PvP in general, like fight other players in general using melees. But then recently, when I started playing like different games, for example, like Genshin Impact, I started liking ranged players and all that stuff. Although I did like mages as well. That said, I'm trying to figure out why can't I get my mouse cursor. Let's see. Okay, let me see if I'm really doing something wrong here. So I go with something like void a necromancer. I go ahead and get my RMB underscore pressed, which is a valid function here, isn't it? RMB underscore pressed, RMB underscore released. I see. Okay. So while my RMB is being pressed, show mouse cursor. Show mouse cursor. Did I spell this wrong? Player controller is gonna go ahead and show. Did it change to something like Boolean of show mouse cursor? I guess it did. Apparently it did. That didn't make any sense because I'm positive I used to use show mouse cursor. Let's go with Necro Mancer. Okay, I'm gonna this time go ahead and get a hold of, let's say, my RMB underscore release function. Now, when I release my right mouse button, when I'm no longer, excuse me guys, rotating or turning my player around, I'm gonna go ahead and change or switch my boolean of is RMB underscore pressed to be equal to false. My RMB is no longer being pressed. Then I'm gonna go ahead and just fix my typo here first. There we go. And then copy my this if statement, and I'm gonna go ahead and paste it here. All I'm gonna do is change this to something like true. Yes, I do want to show a mouse cursor this time. And now that's about it. Once I'm done with all this, now I can work on my look function. So in my look function, I'm gonna firstly go with again a necromancer. Oops, I'm gonna go with Control Z. It's kind of tedious to always type this out. I'm just gonna go ahead and copy this. There. Gonna go ahead and copy this, and then I'm gonna go ahead and paste it here. My a necromancer's class is gonna go ahead and now work on my look function, which is going to be requiring constant parameter of AF, let's say something like input action value, that requires the memory address of, let's say, values parameter. And then I'm gonna go with the pro curly braces. Hiving, Loki King, is that pronounced your name? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's it. Maybe I'm gonna go ahead and eat some oats as well because I am kind of starving. What up, guys? Give me a sec. Alright, guys, I just smashed my keyboard for some reason. There we go. Okay, so now my look function is gonna be requiring a scale value, just the same as my move function. So I'm gonna go with something like scale. Okay, so for my scale value, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say do the same thing as I did with my move function. I'm gonna go ahead and add a f vector 2D. So I'm gonna go ahead add a f vector vector 2D, which is going to be represented by local variable. But this time I'm going to call it something like look vector. I mean, there is no harm in calling it movement vector exactly the same as this. I think look vector is more readable, which is going to be equal to my value dot the get template. I want to go ahead and get my f vector 2D and store my value inside my f vector 2D with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with that as well, we really don't need anything much for like our movement. All I need right now is, let's say, add a comment to add a controller input. This is like pretty much it, because technically I'm gonna go ahead and not use add movement input. Instead, I'm gonna go ahead and add my controller yaw input. And in case you guys forgot what yaw was, yaw is basically in charge of me moving in the x-axis or turning, rotating in the x-axis. Pitch is in charge of me rotating or turning in the y-axis, and roll is in charge of me turning or rotating in the z-axis. There we go. So add controller. My mouse is a controller. It's not a keyboard input. So I'm going to add a controller yaw input, which is going to be requiring only one parameter of my value, which is going to be my scale value. I'm going to go with look vector dot the x-axis, because your input is in charge of rotating me the x-axis. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add a controller pitch input. How tall are you? Guys, do you guys really want to go there? Okay, so I'm basically like, what if I say I'm like 6'5" and a half? Okay, I'm gonna go with something like add controller pitch input. Guys, I feel like, I highly doubt you guys would believe me if I say I'm 6'5" and a half. I'm actually like 5'6" and a half. Okay, I'm gonna go with something like look vector here, dot the y-axis, ending with a semicolon. Okay, wait till bro tries Teria. Honestly, is that like a game? Whatchamacallit? Because I think, wait, is that pronounced as terrain? No, I don't think it's terrain, because I thought that there's like a terrain option inside the Unreal Engine where I could like actually sculpt my map here to like add mountains and all that stuff. Haven't tried that yet though. Okay, this is going to be negative look vector because I want to move in the opposite direction of my original position, if that makes any sense. Let's send me some more oats real quick. Okay, I think that's actually pretty much it for my movement. Now, lastly, the thing that I'm going to do is, let's say, add a if statement in my bind function. I'm going to go ahead and add a if statement to check if my U enhanced input component, okay, is going to be represented by pointer called something like EIC that is going to be equal to, I'm going to go with a cast checked. Let's go with cast checked. Okay, let's go CHECKED with a pair of ankle braces where I'm going to be requiring my U enhance input component. There we go, with a pair of parentheses of my player input component. And now that's about it. There we go. Okay, perfect. And then why do I see a red underline here? No instance overloaded function of cast checked matches the argument list. Did I have a typo? Cast checked. How did I manage to get a typo there? That didn't make any sense. That's it, and then I'm gonna go with the pair of curly braces. Now inside the pair of curly braces, he's never heard of Teria. Let me actually look it up real quick. What up guys, let's check something like, what is Terraria? There we go. Okay, let me go all the way up here. Get maybe Gemini here. There we go. Let's just go ahead and grab this here. Okay, what is Teria? Start by building a basic shelter. Okay, then dig for one resource, discover and craft Oh, so it's basically like an open world RPG game. I see. It's multiplayer. It's Google Stats. Oh, I see. I haven't actually tried it. I should like go ahead and try different kinds of games. That said, maybe in like Tuesdays the streams, I do like ask you guys what I usually do. For the past 3 streams, you guys have been choosing Blender for me to work on Tuesday, but I might actually have a poll, and you guys could like actually give me separate recommendation as to what should I stream on Tuesdays, because Tuesdays I don't program, guys. That said, okay, so I'm gonna go with something like move action. Let's go with something like move action. Or I'm gonna go with bind move action. Let's go with something like a bind move action. There we go. Now for my bind move action, I'm let's say gonna go ahead and okay, I'm gonna go with something like my enhance input component, which points towards something like bind action. What are you making? Actually, I want to work on like a necromancy logic, basically summoning objects or something. Like when I actually kill an NPC, that is a pretty good idea. When I kill an NPC, I want to go ahead and summon it, and then I can go ahead and use it to like fight other NPCs. Guys, that's kind of fun. It's kind of, I think it might be inspired for like solo leveling and like different necromancy genres type stuff. But I think that's kind of cool. I'll eventually need that stuff, to be honest. But I want to first learn how to summon stuff. It's so hard to summon them. Okay, so first I'm adding my movement input, so I actually have access to like turn around my window and all that stuff. Where in my bind action function, I'm going to require move action function. I'm going to require e-trigger event, which is going to be, let's say something like triggered. Okay, movement has been triggered on this object. Therefore, I'm going to go ahead and do what this function tells me to do. Whoops, I'm going to go with something like a necromancer. The memory address of a necromancer. There. Huh. Oh, there we go. It's shift. There we go. Then I'm going to use the scope resolution operator to point towards my move function. Then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. And then I'm going to add another comment that says something like bind look action. I'm going to go ahead and bind my look action. Enhance input component points towards something like bind action. And guys, the thing that makes this so much trickier is because I'm learning Python for like my college, so the syntax, I keep messing it up. Like sometimes instead of writing variables in title case, I might write it in like the lowercase format with like underscores, if that makes any sense. Because usually C++ uses like camel case to write stuff. I'm gonna go with something like my look action. And then a e-trigger event. I'm gonna go with e-trigger event with the scope resolution operator called something like triggered. If a look action has been triggered on this object, I want to go ahead and do what this function tells me to do, what the look function tells me to do, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to go ahead and bind my RMB action, which is my right mouse button action. I'm going to go with enhance input component that points towards. I'm going to go with bind action again. Now my bind action here is going to be for my RMB action. I'm going to go with right mouse button underscore action. I'm going to have a e-trigger event, okay, which is going to be something like, let's say something like started. I'm going to go with started. If a RMB action has started on this object, I'm going to do what this function says RMB underscore pressed function tells me to do, ending with a semicolon. I think I spelled action wrong. I don't need an underscore here. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to go with another enhance input component, exactly the same as my RMB actions is started. So I'm going to go with something like bind action. Let's go with bind action. My action name is going to be my RMB action, where I'm going to be having, let's say, a e-trigger event of completed. Once my RMB action has been completed, I'm no longer clicking my right mouse button on this object. I want to go ahead and do what this class's RMB underscore released function tells me to do. Ending with a semicolon, guys. I think that was like a mouthful to say. Let's maybe go ahead and eat something. Okay, I honestly think that's pretty much it. There's like nothing else that I might need. So I'm gonna go ahead and open my Unreal Engine now. Finally comes the part where I add content in my Unreal Engine. So firstly, I'm going to go ahead and just close my NPCs here. I'm going to close my Blender QLB. I'm going to go to my C++ classes. Let's go ahead and add a class here. Now, here's the thing. I don't see my capsule just yet. So I'm going to go ahead and live compile. Oh god, this is going to take so long. For some reason, why does my compilation take so long? Wait, will it take so long here? It keeps saying the UBA server. I gotta fix this part. It takes really long to compile. Okay. Using Unreal Build Accelerator Local Executor to run 5 actions. 5 actions. I think I have 5 actions, that's correct. Okay, and then let me just go ahead and eat some oats as well, because I am still kind of starving. Gotta go ahead and ask Gemini, why does it take so long? There we go, finally. 43. Okay, it took very long. Okay, even though it took long, it's done. So technically, I think this is the first time I compile is taking that long. So basically, that is my camera components, the follow camera that I created. This red line is my spring arm components, the camera boom that I created. Now, let's go ahead and in my Necromancer's class, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say add a static mesh. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and click the none here, and let's go with something like cube. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let's see. I wanna add a cube here. What is my mesh called? What if I just close all these? I'm gonna go with something like cube. Okay, so which cube is it? Is it this cube? There we go. Okay, run the code. Let's go. Okay, let me go ahead and just get this here. Now I'm gonna be whatchamacallit, just working a bit on just arranging this, because you guys can see this blue dash here. That is basically my pivot point. That is the place where my player must be facing, or my mesh must be facing. So I'm gonna hit something like R, and let's say I'm gonna rotate this player. So I'm gonna go ahead and rotate him to 90 degrees. I'm gonna go with negative 90 degrees. Then I'm gonna hit W. Let's get it a bit to the back. Whoops. I'm gonna go ahead and get it a bit to the back, and then a bit to the front, just barely inside my capsule. Not barely, I want to get him as much as I can inside the capsule. Okay, and in case you guys didn't know what a capsule is basically this, the capsule is basically a sphere looking thing here. Okay, then I want to go ahead and get myself a bit lower. Then I want to go a bit to the back. There. Am I completely inside the capsule? I mean, I think I kind of am. And guys, this is like one of my not too good looking meshes up here, because I did not add texture. This does remind me like of an Among Us character though. There we go. I'm now completely inside the capsule facing a pivot point. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is click my Necromancer's class. Go with something like input. Now, here's the thing. Hold up, guys. There we go. Let's type something like input. There. Now, here's the thing. The reason I can see all these bunch of inputs here is because I firstly, in my header files, I categorized all these things inside my input, and I set them to be edit anywhere. So now, if I were to go back to my Unreal Engine, since it is edit anywhere, if I click none, I can go ahead and link my IMC defaults to my default mapping, if that makes any sense. And I can link my IA_move to my move action. I can go ahead and link my IA_look to my look action. I can link my RMB action to my IA_RMB. Which software is this? Please, bro. This is actually Unreal Engine 5 that I'm using currently, but where I was like actually writing my program was like Visual Studio 2022, because I did not have time to try Visual Studio 2026. That's it. Okay, the next thing I might need is I might go with something like possess. Oops, let's go with something like. Okay, I'm gonna set my autoplayer possess to be player 0 from disabled, so I can see from my camera's point of view. Then I'm gonna go ahead and just adjust my camera a little now. I'm gonna click this thing. Okay, let's scroll. Let's get this a bit lower, my details panel. Then this is the camera boom and follow camera that I created again inside of my Unreal Engine. Actually inside of my Visual Studio. I'm gonna go with follow camera. Let's get it a bit higher. Let's get it a bit to the back. Okay, I'm gonna get it a bit more to the back. And then I'm gonna hit R to rotate it a little. I mean E to rotate it a little. I'm gonna get it a bit diagonal. Okay, and that's about it. I'm gonna hit W, get myself a bit up. Now, just a small thing. This is not important, but I like to do it. I wanna go with R and kind of increase my player. Whoops. Let's just make them a giant titan, guys. There we go. Okay, this isn't compulsory, but it's kind of cool. That said, bro, English is damn good that I didn't know what software he told me. Oh, it's actually Unreal Engine. Let me actually type it out. My let's go with something like it's Unreal Engine 5, which is technically considered to be UE5. Okay, and I wrote my program. Let's go with PROGRAM program in Visual Studio 2026. Let's go with 2026. Okay, perfect. There we go. Actually, my bad, guys. 2022. Visual Studio 2022. There we go. Okay, that's it. You should try JetBrains Writer. It's really great IDE for game dev. I see, man. Actually, there was one person who did like recommend me to like use JetBrains. That's it. I'm gonna go here, hit W, get myself up, and now I can finally run the code. Okay, let me go ahead and remove that. There we go. Now let's go ahead and run the code. Let me go ahead and run this real quick. And guys, this is my hold up, guys. Before I really run the code, let me just close the details panel. And I wanna like be a bit shorter because I think I'm like really big. What up, guys? There we go. I want to decrease the scale a little. Wait, why can't I decrease my... Oh, because I do not select my player. There we go. I'm going to go with something like R. Let's decrease my scale a little. There we go. That should be kind of good. I don't want him to be too big. Okay, thanks, Brody. And respect for your English accent. I also appreciate your rush. Okay, that's it. Now, let's go ahead and move around. So, technically, this is what my movement code was for. Now, this is my mouse. I can go ahead and turn around. Wait, I have a tiny bug up there. Hold up, guys. Let me fix that real quick. Okay, so when I move around, I'm gonna add an if statement here to check something like if my boolean of is RMB pressed, if my RMB is being pressed, that's when I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I'm gonna paste this. So only when my right mouse button is being pressed, I want to turn myself. Let's hit Control S to save the code, open my Unreal Engine here, and I'm gonna live compile. Okay, and then maybe I'm gonna go ahead and eat something as well because I feel like I'm kind of starving, guys. Okay, for some, let me actually ask Gemini after I'm done with like fixing this part that why does it take me like 40 seconds to compile my code? Before it used to take me like 5 seconds or like 3 seconds at max. It says no PDB file found or module in Unreal editor. I have my game logic's DLL though. This is kind of strange. Okay, that's it. There we go, finally. Okay. Hey bro, what's your PC specs? Honestly, I am using like an Intel Core i9's processor. I'm using like the MSI's motherboard. I don't have a graphics card because my graphics card is like integrated inside of my motherboard. But I do like have 32 GB RAM, and I think that's all we say for specs. Guys, I gotta like probably memorize that whole part up because many of you guys do ask me my specs. That's it. Let's go all the way up here. And now I will not turn or rotate around unless I don't click my right mouse button. When I click it, my mouse pointer disappears from here and I can go ahead and turn myself. If I look up, I can look up. If I look downwards, I can look downwards. If I turn towards the left, I can go towards the left. Towards the right, if I hit W, I go in front. If I hit S, I go in back. If I hit A, I go towards the left. If I hit D, I go towards the right. That's about it. Now, I want to go ahead and just exit the program. Go to my output log, maybe here. I want to copy this. Okay, I'm going to go with something manual compile. I'm going to copy that. Okay, let me get Gemini here real quick. There. Let me say something like, Sensei, I was working on adding my player movement before I worked on the summoning logic ... So I can move around perfectly using enhanced inputs. And also, why does it take very long for me to compile my code? It took me like 50 seconds. Before, it used to be done in like 3 or 5 seconds. Okay, let's go with Shift Enter and paste this. Okay, shift lock. Honestly, does that do something here? Okay, stop complaining about 50 seconds. Do you think greatness is handed out in an instant? If you can't wait a minute, if you can't wait a minute for your code to compile, how will you survive the hours of debugging that awaits you? Honestly, guys, I feel like I can wait. Like I have like a lot of patience, but I feel like patience is kind of not needed here because I think there's something wrong because this code should like compile really fast. Look at your log. It says 1 out of 5 completed. X64. Search pch.unreal ed project. That's the culprit. A pch, a precompiled header, is a massive file that bundles all the heavy Unreal headers. If you modify your header files in a way that forces the engine to rebuild that path, it will take a lifetime. Sensei's diagnostics while you're slowing down the PCH rebuild whenever you change a header that is included by my other files or change a build setting, Unreal has to re-index everything. Live coding limitations. You see the message, no PDH file, blah blah, new project, syndrome. Okay, the pseudocode for summoning. Okay, since you have movement working, your necromancer can walk, but he cannot command yet. So here's a pseudocode for summoning the logic, what we're about to implement. So this is summoning logic. The request header, we need a class reference. Okay, we need an input action. Your AI is damn serious, guys. It actually does make sense. What's up with the tone, guys? I feel like Gemini is like way too serious up here. That said, if get world is not null, okay, this is just a pseudocode. You guys, there's like no syntax whatsoever here. Okay, is the world real? So I check if my get world is not null. Okay, do we actually have a dice to spawn? If die class variable is not null, calculate that stuff. Your next step, the header setup. You can answer me. If you can't even define your variables, you'll never spawn a single soul. Okay, would you like for me to give you the exact code for your property? Okay, wait, let me actually say, let's not rush like we did yesterday. So I only have one class now. It is a character class, okay, called Necromancer. Now, should I create a actor class, question mark, for the object which I am going to be summoning? Okay, guys, I gotta go like slow at this point. Okay, don't keep this hairstyle. Does it actually look kind of bad? Hold up, guys, let me just go ahead and check it out. Let me go to the main camera. There we go. I mean, I honestly think it looks kind of good, to be honest. Like, it's kind of a curly hairstyle, guys. Honestly, the reason I actually have this hairstyle is because before I used to, blow dry my hair and like straighten it up and like have like middle part or like side parts and all that stuff. But recently I did not have enough time, so I was like, messy hair is actually the easiest hair to kind of maintain type stuff. And that said, I'm gonna go to something like my gift history. There we go. Okay, actually, I mean, I feel like that was kind of cool. Let me actually just go ahead and type it down. Go with something like, what up, guys? Give me a sec. Let's type. I don't even have a book around me. Let's go with something like 128. Let's say something like 40. Okay, perfect. It doesn't look horrible. Honestly, guys, it looks kind of cool. They really debug the code along with you, integrate with your IDE and book. You'll see it was answered everything about your question and answers. I see that actually sounds kind of cool. That's it, yo. How you doing? Roger, appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's it. Let's see. Finally, you're showing some glimmer of wisdom. Rushing is for amateurs who wants to spend their night staring at crash logs while we're building this pillar. The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying small rocks and by conficus. Okay. We need a dedicated actor class. If you're trying to summon a generic actor, you get nothing, no mesh, no physics, no logic by creating a dice or simulation or summons minion. Okay. Visuals, you can attach a mesh, a cube, a skull, a radiant orb, or your... Okay, so your stream actually has something to look at. Physics, you can tell the object to fall. Okay, so step-by-step orders, and no, do not deviate from this path. Go to the editor. Okay, I gotta create a new class. It's gonna be an actor class, not character, not font, just a simple actor. Name it, call it summon object or dice. I'm gonna call it summon object to be honest. GitHub Copilot Hi. Honestly, I think yeah, I do have GitHub. Whatchamacallit. If you guys do actually go to my bio, I have like a link of like all my socials. Alright guys, maybe I can actually show it to you guys because many of you guys do really think that you guys pay me to actually give you guys my Instagram and all that stuff. I'd be like, it's almost everything is here. So if you guys do open my channel's homepage and go to something like more, you guys are going to see my Discord, my Instagram, my Twitch, my Twitter, my Kick, my GitHub, my TikTok, and my Trovo. You guys can like make sure to join it. That said, I'm going to go ahead and just accept this real quick. Okay, speaking of which, I'm going to go ahead and see. So once I create a character class, the sensei is the challenge. While that class is creating, answer me this. Okay, so while the class is creating. Okay, so let's just go ahead and create this. First, I'm going to go to tools. I'm going to go to new project. I'm going to create an actor class. Let's call this class something like summon actor. So I'm going to go with something like summon object. SUMMONED OBJECT. There we go. Then I'm going to go ahead and let's say create a class. While it's creating how to learn C++, which resource would you recommend me? Actually, it does like depend on what kind of learning do you like prefer the most. For example, for me, I think AI helped me the best when it came to learning because I work better when I have a lot of practice questions or like mini projects. That's it. I did like follow a roadmap as well. If you do want to like follow the roadmap that I actually use for learning C++, two ways. You could like watch my first ever C++ video and like follow along with me because I mean, caution, I would be kind of amateur back then because that was the first time I started learning C++. Second thing, if you guys do join my Discord server and like mention me in either the C++ chat or like the coding help chat for asking my C++ roadmap, I can like DM it to you guys. That said, I feel like C++ is pretty fun to learn. Okay guys, I actually am awful at reading Hindi. That said, I'm assuming if you said age, you're asking like what's my age. I'm actually 18 years old, guys. Let's see. Let's go ahead and open Gemini from your end, guys. I just realized your name is Vivek Sai. I guess we have the same name, guys. Actually, not guys. I guess we have the same name, Vivek Sai. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go here. So in your Necromancer header, we're going to use the T sub of class. Okay, I do remember using this. I know what this means. The T subclass of stores a actor class inside of it, which I can later summon as many times as I want. If we use a regular summon object, a pointer instead of a T subclass, why would Unreal Editor refuse to let you pick up a blueprint? Let's say because the T subclass of will store a actor that I can summon several times and I can summon several times. Instead, if we use the a summon object, it summons it once because pointer points, let's go with something like points towards the specific memory address. And I also created my actor class today. Okay, let's see. I'm impressed by how far you've come. Keep it up. Honestly, I appreciate you, Kale. It actually means the world to me, guys. That's it. That's it. Exactly. You're finally getting it. A pointer, a summon object, is like a home address. It points towards a house that already exists. You can't build a new house by just starting at one that's already on the streets. The subclass of is the blueprint. It's the architectural plan that allows you to build as many houses as you want, as many houses as you have the memory for. Oh, I see. Okay, the art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook, said by William James. I see. Okay, that's it. Now step 2. Was there a step 1 somewhere? Oh yeah, I think it's step 2 is correct. Okay, the bodiless actor problem. You've created a class of a summon object, but listen to me. Right now it's a ghost. It has no physical form. If you spawned it, the outliner will show the name, but your viewers will see nothing. Okay, we need to give it a mesh component. In the header files of my summon object, add a component to your new class so the world can see it. So, under protected data members, the physical look of your summon object. I'm gonna go ahead and set my U property to be visible anywhere. Category is going to be component. It's going to be a U static mesh component. Excuse me guys, which is going to be a mesh component. Okay. So under my protected data member, so in my header files, under my protected data member, actually under my public data member, I'm assuming right here, not under my tick. Okay, so instead using an AI like Gemini, ChatGPT, you can directly use AI agent, bro, which is on GitHub Copilot. Integrate Copilot with your IDE. That is Blender, bro. Wait, by Blender, did you mean like better? Because I did make sure to disable my IntelliSense and my Copilot, because I do have like a GitHub Copilot's option here. I did like disable it because guys, it's so annoying when I try writing like one line of code, it pastes my entire code for me. I'm like, what is the point? It's like I already have everything in front of me. Okay, that's it. How do you stay so consistent? Honestly, I don't like feel like it, but then it's like as long as you keep going and like keep doing the things that you don't like, it does increase your willpower. So like you get better at the stuff that was harder to do. That's it. There we go. Now for my U property, I want, let's say, my mesh. I'm gonna go with something like my mesh. Actor mesh. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and set this to be visible anywhere. I want my mesh to be visible anywhere, and I want it to be categorized. Let's go with something like category, which is going to be equal to something like maybe components. Okay, although now I would not be able to use my uStatic, S-T-A-T-I-C. I would not be able to use my uStatic mesh component here. Okay, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like mesh component, because I did not really add the header file that gives me access to it. Instead of adding a header file, I'm going to create a class and just declare a empty uStatic mesh components as class here. There we go. Then I'm going to later define it inside my C++ file. uStatic mesh component. S-T-A-S-T-A-T-I-C mesh. I wrote mesh twice. Mesh component. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. I'm going to go ahead and paste it here. Okay, perfect. That's like right about it. So just ask your questions. That's it. They give you when you need to project as a senior developer. I suggest you, little bro. Honestly, I might really try that, to be honest. Let's see. So I have a uStatic mesh component here where I created a mesh component. Next up, I'm going to hit Control S to save the code. Go to my summon objects C++. Speaking of which, guys, I realized a very important thing. I'm gonna make sure that I save every single thing. Let's name this something like map. I'm gonna go with something like map. Because guys, there's times when I actually forget to save it all and then it just like vanishes to thin air. Okay, let's just go ahead and save everything. I'm gonna hit Control S to save. And that's perfect. Alright guys, we're kind of safe now. Let's just go ahead and close my content drawer. There. Okay, now in my C++ file, let's go ahead and get Gemini back up here. There we go. So now, the source, initialize it in the constructor. So this is a protected data member. It's under a public section. I'm zooming in my constructor. If you don't do this in the constructor, the component won't exist when the actor is born. Summon object. Okay, I want to go with the summon objects as constructor. Primary actor tick dot boolean can ever tick is set to true. Okay, we already have this created. Then I create a default sub object and set it to be a root component. That should be pretty easy. So I'm going to go ahead and let's say go with my mesh component. Mesh component. Okay, which is going to be equal to, I'm going to go with something like a create default sub object. I'm going to go ahead and create a default sub object with a pair of ankle braces, which requires a parameter of my uStatic. I can just paste it here. There we go. Which is going to be called, let's say something like my common NPC in my Unreal Engine. Then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now, here's the thing. The reason it gives me a red underline is probably because I had a typo. Create default sub object. There we go. Okay, now, even though I can actually use this thing, I don't really have access of my static mesh component. The reason I can use it is because I declared an empty class here. Instead, what I really need to do is define it. So I'm gonna go with something like include. I want to include something from my components. components slash, let's go with something like the static mesh component. I'm gonna go with something like the static mesh component dot h, which is basically my static mesh components as header files. Hi bro, howdy Pixels, I appreciate you joining the stream. It's actually been a while. I think I saw you last stream though. I don't know why it felt like ages. That's the next step. I'm gonna go with something like root component. My root component here, let's go with something like component is going to be equal to, I'm going to go with something like a mesh component. There we go, and then I'm going to go ahead and just end this with a semicolon. Here's the thing, did I spell something wrong? component component slash STAS, there we go, STATIC static mesh component. Okay, that's pretty much it. Let me go ahead and grab div up here real quick. That said, include at the top of Necromancer's summoned objects.h. At the top of my Necromancer's in C++, I want to include my summoned object because I'm going to summon my object, my actor, through my Necromancer's character class. The slot in Necromancer.h, add the slot for the blueprint. New property, edit anywhere, blueprint read only category is going to be summoning, where I create a T subclass of a summon object, object to summon. I see. I'm sorry I did not watch the stream. Please watch. Honestly, do not actually force yourself to ever watch the stream, because guys, I feel like that's how it starts to get really tedious and all that stuff. The reason I'm actually doing this is just like to learn this stuff. Eventually, when I do like make tutorial videos, that's going to be really fun to watch, guys. So be sure to definitely check that out. That said, I'm gonna go ahead and next up, let's see. Hit Control S to save the code. Then I'm going to go to my Necromancer's C++ file. In my C++ file, I'm going to go ahead and let's say include something. I want to go ahead and include include. Let's say something like my summoned, my summoned object .h. So this is my summoned objects as header files. Then I'm going to Control S to save the code. Now, under my U properties in my Necromancer's as header files, I could go ahead and include it here. Let's go with something like include. Okay, I'm gonna go with something like include. In parentheses, I'm gonna go with something like summoned object.h. Okay, perfect. Once I'm done with that, under my let's say U properties, I'm gonna add another U property. Let's go with something like summoning action. SUMMONING action, where I'm gonna go ahead and have a U property PROPRTY, where I want my summoning action to be edit anywhere. I want to be able to edit it anywhere. I want my summoning action to be blueprint read only. Lastly, I want my category to be equal to something like input, because I'm gonna go ahead and summon my actor using my character class through a user input. And then I'm gonna go ahead and let's say create a T of class. Okay, this is going to be something tough. Let me go ahead and think this through. So I'm gonna go ahead and let me check the reference. I forgot the syntax, guys. Okay, so edit anywhere category. There we go. It's T subclass of. Okay, it's T subclass of. Okay, let's go with something like T subclass of. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and add a pair of ankle braces, which requires a parameter of, let's see, a summoned object. Okay, so I'm gonna go with something like a summoned object, which is practically gonna be my class here. Okay, and then I'm gonna go with something like a pair of parentheses, right? Alright, guys, there we go. Okay, not a pair of parentheses, but I'm gonna be object to summon. Let's go with something like object to summon. There we go. Then I just go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Okay, this is a local variable that represents my class here. Okay, my T of subclass has my actor class stored inside of it, which is represented by this local variable. I see it. And guys, this is now the newer part. That's the reason I'm actually getting like help using reference. Sensei's critical question. There we go. Your stream is watching you build the pieces. Now tell me this before you compile. We're using edit anywhere for the object to summon variable. If I change that to visible anywhere, would you still be able to open that drop down menu in Unreal Engine to choose which blueprint to spawn? If we change, so we're using edit anywhere for the object. If we added visible anywhere, would you be able to open the drop down menu in the Unreal Engine to choose? Let me say something like no, because if we choose the drop down menu, let's go with something like menu to be my object to summon, I'm practically editing the choice. Therefore, the visible anywhere would be therefore the visible anywhere would be seen everywhere, but I would not be able to change it. That said, I am done writing this part of the code. That said, should I add something in my UE5's editor? Question mark, maybe a user input to summon. By user input, I meant action and input. There we go. Actually, where do you live? Honestly, I do like live abroad, but I can't give that actual country just for safety reasons, guys. That's it exactly. Visible anywhere is for looking, but edit anywhere is for doing. You're starting to think like an engineer instead of a bystander. If you want the power to swap your summon minion for a massive boulder later on, you need the right permissions. Success is not final, failure is not fatal. The courage to continue that counts, said by Winston Churchill. Is that how I pronounce the name? Now listen, because this is where most developers fail and become button mashers. You asked if you should add something new in the editor. Yes, code without input is just a silent movie. We need to bridge the gap between your mouse and your necromancer's soul. The architecture of action, the enhanced inputs. Okay, to summon with your right mouse button RMB, we need to set up the I want to summon every time I click E. Hold up, guys. Let me say something like Sensei, I want to summon clicking. Okay, what is a button to summon, guys? Clicking C. I'll go with something like clicking C. Okay, let's see. Listen to me. If you summon an army every time the player as much as breathes on the keyboard, you aren't a necromancer, you're a glorified spam bot. Discipline is a bridge between goals and accomplishments, and by Jim Rohn. The C key summoning open IMC underscore necromancer bind a new mapping context I underscore summon. Wait, did I? Okay, so firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and input action, right click, input action, name this, mapping context, right click, okay, name it IMC underscore necromancer. Wait, I create a new mapping context here? Okay, yes, I'm enjoying the stream, let's go! Okay, that's it, guys. I finally see the yes is whatchamacallit is getting more than the no's. Before, like, there were like I think 53% no's out of like 100 people or so. Now it says out of 162 people, it says 56% said yes. That's kind of cool, honestly. That's it. Let me say something like Sensei. I already have a IMC default. Do I need to create another one question mark? Because I'm gonna go and open my Unreal Engine here, go to content jar, go with something like content, go to input, just gonna go with Windows Shift S. There we go, let's go ahead and copy this part. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say open my get Gemini here, paste this up here, and listen enter. Guys, this is why I prefer Gemini over ChatGPT for like learning Unreal Engine, because there are like so many details you need to like take screenshot to really be able to elaborate what you're trying to say type stuff. That's it. Don't you waste assets that you've already created. You already have IMC default. The verdict? No, you don't need another IMC. Listen to these steps below is only to save your dignity. Open IMC default, double click that icon, add the mapping context, plus add new mapping. Plug in IA underscore RMB, select your IA underscore RMB. I mean, it's really not that hard. Okay. Set it to C or whatever dark heart desires today. the C++ connection. Okay, so since you already have movement working, begin play likely already adds IMC default in subsystems. This is good. It means the phone line is already open. Now you just need to make sure the Necromancer class knows which IA to listen to. In your Necromancer's details panel, the editor, find the variable for your summon action. Drag IA underscore RMB into that slot. If you leave that slot empty, binding to details, since it's crucial. Okay, there we go. So technically, Gemini didn't completely understand what I meant. But what I really want to do is I want to go with something like input action. I'm going to go with something like IA underscore C, which is practically going to be summon. Okay, let's go with something like summon. Input action for my summon. Right mouse button, move, look. There we go. I'm going to go with IMC default. In my IMC default, I'm going to click plus for the mapping. I'm going to go here. This is going to be my IA underscore summon. I want to summon when I press C in my keyboard. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to go down here to my, let's say, header files, right? Okay, let's go all the way up here. There, I'm going to go with something like here. I'm just going to go ahead and just take a reference of this. There we go. So I see input action. This is like, okay, I'm going to go here. The first thing that I got to do, I got to link it. Your C++ code needs a hook to catch the input. In your Necromancer, you need to declare your input action pointer. So I need a summoning action. Okay, and a summoning function. So I'm going to firstly create a summoning action here, which I did, didn't I? I think I really did create a summoning action. Input action for summons. That was not a summoning action that I created. Physical look for our summoned object. This is the physical look for our summoned object. Okay, I'll go with something like physical PHYSICAL, physical look for summoned object. Okay, and then once I'm done with that, I'm gonna, let's say, go ahead and go with something like a summoning action. CMMONING action. Where I'm going to be requiring U property. I'm going to go with the U property, which I am going to be able to edit anywhere. I want it to be, let's say, something like blueprint read only. Lastly, my category, I'm going to go with something like only here. And my category is going to, let's say, be equal to something like input. Then I'm going to go with something like a U input action here. Let's go with something like a U input action, which, let's say, requires a parameter of something like summoning action. Summoning action. Okay, now that's right about it. Once I'm done with that, under my functions, I'm gonna go ahead and, let's say, add a white function called something like summon with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. And then I'm gonna go ahead and grab Gemini back up here. Okay, so I need a summon action, which is gonna be right here, right? There we go. Okay, and then once I'm done with this as well, I'm gonna go all the way down here to the next chunk where I go ahead and I add my movement input. My summon action is practically empty. Hold up, I gotta fill my summon action first. Oh, there we go, never mind. Okay, calculate the spawn points. So firstly, this was the complex part. I gotta go with U world. So this gives me, this is basically like a charter where my Unreal's world gives me access to my world. So I really have access to my world right now after this block of code. And then if the world or the class is missing, the stop no crashing allowed. So only if my world and my object to summon are both present in my Unreal Engine, I go ahead and do this part. Spawn 300 units in front of the player. I want it to spawn 300 units in front of me. I'm gonna go with something like uWorld, world, get worlds. If world and object are there, then I'm gonna go with something like f vector, a 3 vector, which is represented by a local variable called spawn location. That is equal to get actor location plus get actor forward vector. That is basically my world direction, and that is my 300 units. Spawn location, spawn rotation. The command that creates reality world spawn actors as template. I want to spawn a actor from my summon objects as class. I want my object to summon. I want a spawn location. I want a spawn rotation. It's not that hard, but then I'm going to get this in a new tab because I just don't know how to write the syntax and I don't want to like open Gemini every single time. So I'm just going to keep this in the other window for the time being. So technically, I'm going to hit Control S to save the code. Whoops. I'm going to hit Control S to save the code. I'm going to go to C++ to define the function I've declared inside of my headers. Okay, I'm going to go here. let's add a comment that says something like summon function. For my summoning function, let's go with something like summoning function. I'm gonna go ahead and let's say require a parameter. I'm gonna go with something like white function from my a necromancer's class. I'm gonna go ahead and get access of my, let's just fix my typo. I think it was correct, there we go, of my summon function, which does not require any kind of parameters, but I'm gonna go with the pair of curly braces instead. In my pair of curly braces, this is gonna be a white function from a necromancer, summon class, consider object, there we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and firstly get a charter. So I'm gonna add a comment that says something like get charter. In case you guys don't know what a charter means, CHARTER is basically King's approval. Let me check here. What does a charter mean? Okay, let's go ahead and just grab this up here. Written grant by a country's legislative or sovereign power by which a body such as company, college, or city is funded and its rights and privileges are defined. Definitely not, guys. I think I added the wrong comments because I don't think Unreal just gives me permission. So I'm just gonna go with something like get world permission. Get world permission. Because I'm not being like funded here. There we go. So I'm gonna go with something like get world permission. For my get world permission, I'm gonna go with something like uWorld. My Unreal Engine is world, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like world. That is going to be equal to the get worlds function, with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to add a if statement to check only and only if both my world exists and my object to summon exists. What was the name? Summoning action. My object to summon. There we go. And my object to summon exists. I'm going to go with object to summon. Maybe I'm going to go with IntelliSense. Object to summon. There we go. Only and only if the two of these exist, that's when I want to really get my location of my actor. So I'm going to go with something like f vector, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like spawn location. Okay, that is going to be equal to, let me think. Okay, might look at the reference, guys. I thought that I actually got this. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and get my actor location. Oh, that's so stupid. I should have known this. My spawn location, where I want to spawn, I'm gonna get my actor location. Okay, my get actor location is gonna increase by my let's say get actor forward vector. Okay, so this is my actor's forward vector view, which way my actor's chest or nose is facing. Okay, I'm gonna go with the pair of parentheses here. Whoops. Multiplied by 300.f, ending with a semicolon. Technically what this meant is my spawn point is going to be wherever my actor is located, plus the front where my actor is facing, 300 units away from my actor. That was kind of self-explanatory, to be honest. Next up, for my F rotator, my spawn rotation is going to be my get actor rotation. That's simple. Okay, let's go with something like F vector of, let's say, spawn rotation is going to be equal to, actually, spawn rotation is going to be equal to my get actor rotation. Get actor rotation. Okay, so my spawned object is going to be facing where my actor is facing. Huh. I think that makes sense, to be honest. Okay, I wouldn't require, so it's get actor rotation. Okay, so returns the rotation of a root component of this actor, no suitable defined. F. Okay, wait, my bad, guys. This is going to be F rotator. Okay, then I go ahead and just hydrate my lips up real quick, because I think it's kind of dehydrated. Okay, hold up, guys. Let me just go ahead and hydrate my lips up real quick. Okay, and then maybe just grab a bite as well, because I think I'm almost out of oats. There we go. Okay, and then once I'm done with this, I'm actually going to spawn the object. So the command that creates reality. Okay, create object. To create my object, I'm firstly going to go with something like world. In my world, through my world's access, I'm going to go ahead and spawn a actor. Oh, wait. My world, I'm going to spawn a actor in my world. Oh, I see. Okay. Then I'm going to go with the pair of anchor braces where I'm going to go give my class's name. This is going to be a summoned object. Okay, and then I'm going to go with the pair of parentheses. Now, what are my objects? I'm going to be requiring 3 parameters. First is going to be my object to summon. What object do I want to summon? Where do I want my object to summon is going to be my spawn location. Which way do I want my object to be facing is going to be my spawn rotation. Okay, and then I just go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Did I have typos? Hold up, guys, let's copy that. Oh yeah, I spelled rotation wrong. There we go. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for my move function. Hey, where are you from? Honestly, I'm like from abroad, but I can't give my actual country name. Let's go up here. I'm going to go with something like project. Let's go ahead and extend this from here as well. I'm going to go ahead and extend that from down here. There we go, and then I'm going to just zoom down, maybe zoom out, zoom in. Okay, let's go all the way down here. Okay, let's say done adding my move function and binding it to my binding place. Okay, set him 2 to 3 years. Dageston and forget. Is that how I pronounce it? Dageston? Guys, I'm awful at pronunciations. That said, I'm gonna go ahead and bind it. I said Gemini, I did bind it, but I didn't really bind it. Let's go with something like bind. Summoning action. Okay, here's the thing. For my summoning action, is it supposed to be triggered anywhere, or is it supposed to be triggered or started? Supposed to only be started, not triggered. I guess there is no ending to it. I want to test it though, because yesterday I did try using my brains, but I absolutely messed up. Okay, because I really want to understand the logic behind this part of code before I do try to implement some of my own logic to it. I'm going to go with something like summoning action, which is going to be my action name. I want to go with something like a e-trigger event. My trigger type is going to be started. Once this event has been started, or once this trigger has been started on this object, I want to do what this function actually tells me to do, what the summon function tells me to do, ending with a semicolon. Let's hit Ctrl S to save the code. Let's go ahead and open Gemini up here real quick. Now let's read the stuff. Don't just add it, understand it. Movement is rhythm of your characters' life, but summoning is their purpose. If you veered the movement correctly, your necromancer is no longer a statue, but a force of nature. Your stream is watching a character finally take its first steps. Don't trip now. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step set by loud choose. Is that how I pronounce the name? That said, if you successfully bound the movement function to your setup player input component, it's trying to look something like this. Move action, summon action, yep. Okay, the sensei's warning, the null trap. If you're living and nothing kills a stream's hype faster than a crashed desktop, before press play, test that C key. Look at your summon function logic. Critical question, if you haven't gone into Blueprint Editor and actually sign summon object class as an entity panel, what will happen if you hit? If you haven't gone into Blueprint Editor and assign the summon object class to the summon object asset in the details panel, what will happen if you hit C? The game will crash, nothing will happen, the output log will scream in red. It will spawn a default gray cube automatically. Let's say C. Okay. The function. Okay. The final warning, the summon function. So I have this. I did that for my summon function as well. I did not add a UE log. Do I really want to add a UE log? Oh, this is genius actually. I can this way check if my function doesn't work. If this summoned, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say add a G engine. I'm gonna go with something like a G engine. which points towards a add on screen debug message, okay, which is going to be having a few parameters. First key is going to be -1. I want it to disappear as soon as the other object has been summoned. The time is going to be something like 3.0 seconds, 3.f seconds. And then I want, let's say, my color. I'm going to go with the f colors structure to, let's say, be something like blue. Or actually, I'm gonna go with something like black. No, I think blue is much better. Maybe red. And then I want my text. I'm gonna go ahead and add a text, maybe in a new line. Okay, let's go with something like text with a pair of parentheses. Before I go with a text, I'm gonna go with something like a f string. I'm gonna go with something like a f string, okay, which is gonna be having a scope resolution operator of something like a printf with a pair of parentheses that is gonna be having a text, where my text is gonna be something like you have summoned, we rejoice. There we go, and then I'm gonna go ahead and end that with a semicolon. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add a else clause here just for safety. This is what I was saying is actually genius, guys. I should have thought of this. In case my summon did not work, it's literally gonna say me that it did not work. Okay, let's go with something like your summon has failed. Full idiot. I think I'll be kind of there we go. Let's go with something like failed. Okay, perfect. Then I'm just gonna go ahead and Control S to save the code. And now I'm gonna go ahead and open my Unreal Engine here. How doing Priyamesh, is that your fitness name? I appreciate you joining the stream. That's it. I'm gonna go out of it here. Let's say I'm gonna go ahead and go to my content drawer. I'm gonna go with something like my Blender's QGB files. I'm gonna go to my, let's say, NPC, common NPC. Common NPC is a static mesh. Double click and open the static mesh's blueprint class. There, now in my blueprint class, I'm gonna search for okay, I actually forgot. Let's go up here. I gotta summon something, so it's like, let's copy this critical question. How do I do that part? I forgot. Dot exclamation. Okay, let's see. Guys, I guess I'm not going to be reading the excess code. I'm just going to be reading the important stuff down here. Fix overriding collision. Wait, let me say something like, didn't I need to do something from my blueprint and assign something to my summon objects' class question mark? Then I have to do this. What game are you building? Actually, I'm working on like a necromancy logic where every time I click C in my keyboard, I summon a character from the dead type stuff. I mean, I did not add the summoning from the death logic just yet, but I just want to summon something. The dice blueprint. Okay, so the dice blueprint, the visuals you created blueprint, summon class. Okay, but it has no shape. Action, right click, summon object. Okay, create blueprint class based on, name it something like BP underscore summon object, the mesh BP underscore summon object, the components panel, mesh component you added in C++. Oh, the mesh component you added in C++, assigned in the details panel for static mesh, pick up a cube, a sphere, or a cool looking die. Physics simulation, necromancer, object summon, blah blah blah, action, BP underscore necromancer. Okay, in the slot in details panel, search for summoning. Plug it in the object to summon dropdown. Hold up. In the necromancer link, first let's do this part. So I'm gonna go to my Unreal Engine. I'm gonna go ahead and exit this. Gonna go to content browser. Gonna go to C++ classes. Gonna go to my summon classes. Gonna right click, create a blueprint class. Gonna name it something like BP underscore summon object. I'm gonna go ahead and summon an object, and then I'm gonna go ahead and, let's say, take a picture of this. I'm gonna go ahead and copy this part. Let's get Gemini up here. Okay, I also want to learn Python for bioinformatics. What prompt did you use? It looks good. Honestly, if you guys do want the roadmap that I used to learn Python, which is actually pretty detailed, you guys could like join my Discord server and like either mention me in the Python chat or the or like the coding help chat, and you guys can ask me for the roadmap. I can like DM it to you guys. You guys can get access to my Discord server through my bio or by typing exclamation Discord in chat space to say something like Sensei. Okay, wait, let's go with something like Sensei. I'm in the, let's say something like okay, I'm in the blueprint class. Let's go with something like blueprint class of my summoned object class. What should I do next, question mark? Okay, let's see. Okay, it's the analysis. Eyes on the screen. I see your asset and I see your blueprint, but do you see the glaring omission in your components list? You've built the skeleton, you've given it no skin. Okay, so follow these steps. Add visuals. Click the add button, component panel, search for static mesh, add it. Select that new static mesh component in the details panel, right side, look for the static mesh slot. It says none, click it and pick cube, a sphere, or an actual die mesh. Activate physics, default, when the static mesh is still selected. I want to actually see the instructions step by step while doing this part. Hold up, guys. And I honestly do gotta like go soon. I'm shocked I streamed for like more than 2 hours right now. Okay, because tomorrow I might not be able to stream, guys, because I do gotta actually move places. That said, let's go with add. I'm gonna go with something like a static mesh. Let me go with something like static mesh. There we go. Okay, static mesh, go with none. I'm gonna go with something like common NPC. There. Okay, and then let me scroll all the way down here. Let's read everything carefully. Okay, search for mesh. Add it. So search for static mesh and then I added it. It's amazing. Yo, appreciate you, Pixels. Okay, and then select the new static mesh component right side of the details panel. Okay, I did that. Activate physics. With the mesh selected, search the details panel, simulate physics. Check that box. If you don't, your object will just hang in the air like a matrix bug. I mean, I don't want like summon physics for now. The link to the necromancers. Go to my necromancers blueprint class now. So I'm gonna go here. Let's go to something like my C/C++ classes. I'm gonna create a blueprint class for my necromancer. Let's go with BP. Underscore necromancer. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and create a class. Now in my class, go to the character, look at the details panel. Do you guys see detail? I see a details panel. Find the variable we created, object to summon. I might go with something like object to summon, character mesh. Where do I find object to summon? I'm gonna go ahead and X from here. Okay, let's see. So click the drop down BP, same for the summon action, and IA underscore RMB for your input. Wait, before I really do that in that case, I'm gonna go ahead and live compile. There we go. Let's just go ahead and live compile because I hope it doesn't. Okay, it's gonna take a bit long. While it's actually taking, I don't want to like drink water. Maybe use my hand grippers, because it usually takes so long to like compile for some reason. While it's compiling, I wish like I had some kind of, I don't know, maybe like jokes or something to like say. That's it. Let me actually look it up honestly. I mean, it's almost done. I'll just wait probably. Okay, let's just wait, I guess. Okay, and maybe I'm gonna try deleting some of my files or try fixing the game logic.dll this thing, because I'm pretty sure I have my DLL files. That said, guys, I just realized I don't think patience is my strong suit. There we go, finally done. It's compiling stuff, compiling and build failed. A necromancer summon. Memory address. Okay, wait, did I go with the memory address? Hold up, guys. Oh, there we go. I actually forgot the memory address. Let me actually go ahead and add the memory address here. Now, let's hit Control S to save the code. And then now I'm going to go ahead and summon. There's no way I spent so much time for no reason here. I mean, I spent like how many seconds? Like 51 seconds. Is there something fun to do for 51 seconds? maybe I could just go ahead and open my Discord server up here. And guys, in case you guys didn't know, like, you guys can like play, there are a few Discord games here. For example, there's the Ubo bot and the Muday bot as well. Where if you go with like Ubo pray, you can actually pray. I used to like be, what you may call it, really addicted to like the Ubo bot. You guys can like actually see my praise here. It's actually a lot. And then there's like the Muday bot as well. That said, I think that was a pretty good distraction, right? Was it fun though? How long does it even take? There we go, finally. 45 seconds actually. Successfully passed, perfect. I'm gonna exit this. Now let's go to my BP underscore this class. I'm gonna go ahead and let's say take a picture of this. I'm gonna go ahead and take a picture real quick. Okay, let's go ahead and get Gemini up here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab Gemini here. And I'm just gonna go ahead and paste. I won't even like extend my chat. Let's say, since I'm in my Necromancer's BP, what to do here? Question mark. Okay, let's see. I mean, I'll just extend it, like, why not? Okay, don't just stare, blah, blah. So the stink link, find the details panel. I did that. Search for summoning. Okay, and then whatever category you put your macro in, I put it in summoning. Drop down. Object summon, it says none. That is a crime. In the action, see that drop down. Click it, BP action from the list. Now the code knows what to birth. Oh, I see. Okay, let me get this in a new tab. I mean, my other window, so I can just see the reference while writing it. Speaking of which, way too exhausted. Okay, let me go here. I'm gonna go to my Necromancer's class. I'm gonna go to something like input. There we go. There's a new input chat. Summoning action. I'm gonna call this something like IA underscore summoning. About it. Gonna go back here. Summoning. I'm gonna search for summoning. SUMM. SUMM. There we go. This is going to be my input action of summoning. It says none. This is going to be summoned object. This is going to be the object that I want to summon. IA underscore summon. Okay, well, it's actually not that bad. Now, once I'm done with this, let's see the next part. Click select BP from the list down. It says none. Skeletal mesh. I don't really need a skeletal mesh. Oh, animated dice. It's gonna be kind of cool. Nah, it's fine. Okay, next up, let's see. The link, how to summon action, find search, input action, summon action slot is also empty. Click it I underscore RMB, but wait for the final. Enter in BP underscore object. It looks like the first image in your object is still a ghost. Look at the components list. You only have default scene roots. Do I have components list, default scene roots? Okay. Action, you must add static mesh, then pick a cube or sphere in the details panel. If you don't do this, you will spawn nothing but disappointments. I see. I'm going to go ahead and add a static mesh. Okay, I guess I'm going to go ahead and, let's say, select a mesh here. This is going to be my common NPC. Am I really summoning a common NPC here? This doesn't make sense. There. Okay, I guess I'm just going to go ahead and compile and run the code now. See. Your summon has failed, fool. It says my summon has failed. Why has it failed? Okay, first check. Once you have plugged in the blueprint and the input action, the Necromancer's detail panel, compile and save both blueprints. Press play. Okay, wait. Let me actually get Gemini here. And then I'm going to go ahead and just grab this. Okay, let's go all the way down here. And then I'm going to say something like, Sensei, it said that my summon has failed. Is it because I did not drag my summoned object actor class in my editor, question mark? Okay, let's see. Okay, screen for LP, give it command but did not execute stuff. The null pointer, variable, blah blah, ghost, check object, do not skip this, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go to content drawer. I'm gonna go to my C++ classes. And then I'm gonna go to game logic. I'm gonna drag this in here. There we go. Now let's live compile. I just want live compile. Okay, while it's compiling, I'm gonna go ahead and open Discord again. Maybe I'm gonna go ahead and type something like dollar lame roll 1111. Okay, you actually do this to like roll for male anime characters. Let's copy that. Let's paste it. Paste it. There we go. And then you can just claim the one that you like. Okay, perfect. Let's see who do I like. Oh, No Game No Life is pretty good. And then I have that. I have that. I have that as well. Let's go down there. Okay, I mean, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and claim the No Game No Life. The reason I didn't really claim it is because the claim rank is like 831, which means it is like relatively rare. Okay, that said, there we go. Finally, the compiling is done, guys. I feel Discord is just like helped me spend some time. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and run the code. Let's see. Someone has failed, fool. It keeps saying someone has failed. Am I doing something wrong? Okay, is my blueprint class correct? There. I might remove my static mesh from here. Why does it say summon is wrong? Am I summoning something wrong? I'm gonna go to my necromancer's self and then static mesh. That's the mesh. If I go with something like summoning, IA underscore summon action. This is supposed to be my summon action. Speaking of summon action, I think in my IMC default I added that stuff. I did add it. It's correct actually. What am I messing up? Maybe this part, static mesh. I added a static mesh here. Common NPC. Okay, let's go with Windows Shift S. Copy this part. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and grab Gemini up here. Let's paste it there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and decrease that. Go here. I'm gonna go with Windows Shift S. Grab Gemini from here. Paste it in here. Okay, and then I'm gonna go to. I didn't compile it, or did I? Oh, yeah, I think I compiled it. I'm gonna go to map. I'm gonna go ahead and grab Gemini back up here. Guys, I'm like way too exhausted right now. Okay, let's go all the way up here. I'm gonna go ahead and extend this. I'm gonna go to my necromancer's class. I'm gonna go to something like input. Okay, let's just go ahead and grab this here. There, I think I have all the necessary inputs in here. Unless, there. Okay, I'm gonna go with Windows Shift S, copy that. Okay, and then decrease the scale. I'm gonna go ahead and extend the scale up real quick. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get Gemini back up here. I'm gonna go ahead and paste this. Positive, there's like nothing else, right? Okay, and then I'm gonna go here, go with Control A, Control C, copy that. Necromancer is a C++ file. Okay, and the Necromancer is header files. I just want the summoning to work once. I've not gotten myself to even like get this thing work once. Okay, if it works once, that's when I have a reference to see over or look over. Paste it. Did I really paste it? Or is the code kind of lagging, guys? Is it just me or is this kind of lagging? There we go. So it's go with Shift Enter. Wait, is this is my summon object? There we go. Lastly, I'm going to go with summon object.c++, go with Control A, Control C, copy that, get Gemini up here and paste it. So say, it says, let's go with something like, it says summon failed. Huh, I wonder if there are any more pictures that I got of this thing. Okay, analyzing my pictures. Okay, look at your own screenshot. Giving the engine contradictory orders. The non-smoking gun, look at the last image. The image, do you see it? Image underscore the last image. This. Okay, object to summon, non-summon action, IA underscore summon. Wait, I did not even realize there was something called an object to summon that existed there. Oh, okay. Be summon object. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, so that's why Necromancer's function is failing, since object to summon is none. That is exactly BP underscore Necromancer. Summoned object, step, fix, okay. look at the image, this thing, the image, that static mesh, but it looks like you added it as a child. Okay. Okay, will there be a system type UI like solo leveling? Actually, I might, like, eventually later on, once I get a bit good with this stuff and understand how it works, I will be adding like a bunch of different contents, but I don't think it's going to specifically be about solo leveling. It could be like its own genre in general. That said, auto receive input is set to disabled. I'm going to go with something with player 0. Input priority is 0, that's correct. Now, just curious, what if I run the code? If I hit this thing, you have summoned Rejoice. It said you have summoned, guys. It said I have summoned. Where did I summon it? Static mesh. It is a child of my camera. Boom. I'm gonna go ahead and get this right here. Okay, wait. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. This is going to be my BP underscore self. Let's go with something like delete. How to delete my static mesh? Can't we delete this stuff? Hold up, guys. By some chance, it actually did work. Animated mesh does not look that bad, to be honest. I might try this real quick. When the code, I'm going to hit something like R. I mean C. It said I've summoned, but I don't see what I summoned. For that, I gotta go ahead and fix my static mesh. Okay, guys, I gotta like lock in for this last time because it's actually working. Fix the Necromancer's assignment. Go to BP underscore Necromancer as seen in image editor. Object to summon slot. Drop down. Summon object. Compile and save. Blueprint. Fix the ghost actor. Look at the image. And this image, you added a static mesh, but it looks like you added a child. Looks like you added it as a child. In BP underscore summon object, ensure static mesh component is the root. Drag it over the scene if you have to. Physics with the static selected. Details is panel. Simulate physics and check it. If it didn't summon your NPC, you'll just stand there like a statue. Input alignment. In your code, you're binding summoning action. In Blueprint, you have a slot for summoning action. Ensure data assets I summon is plugged into that slot. Okay, like it's an image, so you're good there. Okay, good. Sensei's technical criticism, technical challenge, question you fix the stuff, blah blah blah. Okay, the things that I might want to do here is I'm gonna go up here. Okay, so it's a scene of my roots. I'm gonna get it here. There, it's no longer a scene of my roots. I'm gonna go ahead and compile. I'm gonna go here real quick. This is gonna be nothing. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. Go ahead and right click. I'm gonna go ahead and delete. Edit. Nope, not character.h. I'm gonna go ahead and open this again. How do I remove this? There we go. Let's just go ahead and reset this. And then I'm gonna go ahead and compile. I'm gonna go to map. I'm gonna go ahead and run. Let's see. It works, guys. Guess I gotta kind of stretch. But there we go, guys. The that was actually pretty insane. There's no way this works. I'm actually gonna tear up. Let's spam actors. Well, spawn all my whoops. They all got collision. Are they the same size as me? Seriously? Let's make myself a bit bigger. I shall get myself to be a bit bigger. Let's go ahead and get myself bigger. Okay, I'm gonna be the supreme entity. I'm gonna be like a 30-meter titan here, guys. Are you in college? If you are, what year are you? Honestly, I'm a freshman in college. That said, guys, let's summon these objects. Okay, you all are allowed to go. My fellow warriors. Damn it, I should have added a jump, but guys, it looks so good. I can finally summon objects. There is no way it actually works. What if I just spam it? I could have gone with trigger, but I wouldn't say it's bad. It actually works. Let's go. Let's go with Windows Shift S. I'm gonna copy this. And guys, finally, now that it works, I know exactly like these steps I was messing up on. I will be working on this. Maybe not next stream, because I mean maybe not tomorrow, because tomorrow there's like just I'll say 20% chance that I might be able to stream and like a 70 that I won't. But the after tomorrow on this Monday, I will be working on this again. Let's say something like sensei. It works! Exclamation. Okay, summony actors. Glorious. Okay, look at that army. Guys, I can't even read it. I'm so exhausted. Let me say something like a new actor set. Let me say something like sensei. I am kind of exhausted right now, so let's go with something like so. I will be working on this next stream as well, maybe from scratch, because I know exactly where I messed up last time. That said, I am planning to end the stream right now, so before I do end the stream, is there anything, excuse me guys, that you want to say to the viewers? Can it be short? Guys, because I am way too exhausted, like read something. Let's see. Okay, Wise General knows. Okay, I guess I'm glad it's kind of short. A wise general knows when to rest their troops so they can return to the battlefield with wisely fire. Okay, you've conquered the logic, tamed the pointers, and birthed an army. Rest well, Necromancer. The viewers of the Abyss witness the power of perseverance. Your commander started with errors and ended with an army. Log off, go refactor your lives, and prepare for the next rite of summoning. The code never sleeps, but the master must. Go get some rest. Next time we will make summons move. Would you like me to prepare blah blah? Okay, let's go to my OBS. Let me go to my main camera. Alright guys, so basically that was pretty much it for the stream. It feels really satisfying when you spend like 2 whole days to figure one thing out and you finally figure it out. And that said, I would have streamed longer, but tomorrow I might not be able to stream again. The 30 by 70% chance, 30 in favor of streaming, 70 not streaming. That's it. If you guys enjoyed the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, like, helps my algorithm change, makes you smile, and subscribe, makes like a chair on top. That's it guys, I just start multi-streaming on Twitch, YouTube. I will start multi-streaming on TikTok and Instagram as well. So if you guys really enjoy my content and haven't followed me there, make sure to follow me there. The link is going to be in the description, and also join me in the Discord server. That's where I usually talk to you guys, chat with you guys, have general conversations. That said, I'll catch you guys in the next live stream or video. I'll catch you guys in the next live stream or video. Peace. And I thought that was the comment. Hold up guys, give me a sec, let me actually check it out. Okay, what are you working on? It's actually, I was just done with working. Let me show you though. Let me go to my Unreal Engine real quick. Technically, if I run the command, I was working on a summoning logic. So this is my character. If I hit E, actually if I hit C, I go ahead and I summon an object. Let me just shrink myself a little. I feel I'm way too big for anyone to see me. Oh yeah, way too massive. I'm gonna go with something like R, maybe decrease my size. Wait, did I mess something up? Hold up, guys. I mean, I think that's fine. I'm just gonna go ahead and run the code. Whoa. Okay, let me go ahead and hit something like C. I summon actors. There we go. These are my fellow actors. But now there is no animation whatsoever. If I look diagonally, I can go ahead and summon diagonal actors too. But there is like no animation whatsoever when I summon them. I will be working on adding animation, all that stuff. Maybe my actors are going to be fighting for me because I am a necromancer right here. That's it. So that's pretty much it for the stream. Let me go back to the main camera and I'll catch you guys next time for more video. Peace.